We accept the love we think we deserve.
Can we make them know that they deserve more?
We can try. We accept the love.
There comes a time when the blankness of future is so extreme, it's such a black hole of nothingness. And not even a bad thing, not like the decay full of monsters that you're afraid of entering the future. It is just nothingness. The neon, the French would say, and nothing, and the void.
Hey, what's up? Spoiler alert. Oops. I didn't even fix the damn uniform. Oh well, I was gonna put it on during the thing, but I realized it'd take too much damn time. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Kong, the 1996 unproduced script for the final time for now. This is the final time for the script reading events. Don't worry. Like wrestlers who retire, will be back in a matter of time, but this will be the last time for now. But do not fear, it's going to be another fun show. I'm super excited about this script. I'm a huge fan of King Kong. I love Godzilla. I love all those monster movies, and I love almost all the King Kong movies except the Jeff Bridges one. That's probably, I think, the worst one in my opinion. But tonight we're not doing that. We're actually doing the 1996 one, written by Peter Jackson and his friend. Let me see, scrolling up just real quick, Fran Walsh. So this is going to be super exciting. I'm looking forward to this. We have a great cast and all the fun stuff as usual. And this film was supposed to come out in '96, but due to Mighty Joe Young and Godzilla failing at the box office, they said, nope, we are not. So then it ended up coming out almost 10 years later, 9 years later. Great film if you haven't seen the 2005 Peter Jackson one. But anyway, I think it's time to jump in. This is probably the shortest script, but they still take a little bit. So I want to jump in. So the question is everybody ready out there?
Yeah!
Yeah!
We'll see who's watching. If you're watching, feel free to comment. Let's see. We got one person watching. I'm pretty sure that's just me. Whatever. What are you going to do? Cool. So without any further ado, everybody, this is King Kong. George, take it away.
Exterior. Skies over France, 1917. Day. Camera drifts towards a large puffy cloud floating 6,000 feet above the French countryside. A roar of engines sounding like angry buzzing bees, and 3, 6, 9 Sopwith Camel fighter planes emerge from the cloud, flying in tight formation. These are frail-looking but deadly single-seat biplanes, each armed with twin Vickers machine guns, the height of 1917 aircraft design, built for the sole purpose of blasting German planes out of the skies. Super France, 1917. Jack Driscoll and his buddy, Matt Hammond, are flying 2 of the Camels at the rear of the formation. An uptight Brit, McKenney, is flying alongside them. He's as jumpy as hell, scanning the skies for enemy planes. Matt looks around furtively. None of the other pilots are looking in their direction. With practiced skill, Matt reaches down for something in his tiny cockpit. He stands up, wedging the control column between his knees, and turns back towards Jack's Camel. A baseball in his hand. With equal proficiency, Jack jams his control column between his knees and stands, brandishing a baseball bat. Both pranksters have to fight against the fierce slipstream as Matt throws the ball. Eye across 50 feet of sky towards Jack. He prepares to swing, but the ball falls short, getting minced in Jack's propeller. A quick look around to make sure no one is looking, and Matt reaches down again, grabbing another baseball out of the bag of balls he carries in his cockpit. Matt pitches it back towards Jack. He swings and smashes the ball into the side of McKenney's plane. He leaps with fright, his Camel wobbling in the sky as he frantically spins around, thinking he's been hit by the enemy fire. Jack and Matt sit in their cockpits, innocently looking the other way. Sudden machine gun fire. The squadron leader has fired his guns to attract the attention of all pilots. He gestures down. Jack looks down. 3 large German bombers, escorted by 6 sleek Albatross fighters, are heading towards Allied lines, about 1,000 feet below. With a wave of squadron leader's arm, the 9 Camel peels away towards the German planes. The fun is over for Jack and Matt as they grimly steer their planes into the steep dive. Wood creaks, wire whistles as the Camels shudder against the wind resistance. Wings sometimes crumple like matchwood in dives as steep as this. Jack squints as he lines up an Albatross in his gun sights. The Germans have not spotted the fast approaching Camels. The Camel pilots open fire virtually simultaneously. 18 machine guns send yellow tracer bullets ripping into the German planes. Within seconds, 3 Albatross are destroyed. One spins away in flames, another literally collapses under a haul of bullets, and the third collides with one of the bombers, causing both planes to tumble out of the sky. It's a turkey shoot as the Camels fly through the German formation, turning sharply to attack again before the enemy pilots can recover. McKenney blasts into the nose gunner of a German bomber, pumping so many bullets into his plane. The nose section disintegrates and the German falls out. This is in days before parachutes. Clunk! The German gunner lands on Jack's wing. He desperately hangs on, spread-eagled, fingers gripping the wing edges. Jack stares at him, amazed. This is one of those defining moments in life. With a flick of his control stick, Jack could send this guy sailing into space. It is a moment he will remember till the end of his days. Jack makes eye contact. The German is terrified, helpless. Jack reaches out to him.
Here!
Jack struggles to keep his plane flying as smooth as possible. All around the swirling dogfight continues. The German reaches out for Jack's hand. Bam, bam, bam. A sudden burst of gunfire hits the German. He looks out He looks at Jack with a kind of confused sorrow and rolls off the wing.
No!
Another camel is flying just a feet off Jack's tail. It dives away. Tracer fire rips into Jack's plane. He spins around, confronted with a terrifying sight. The 24 gaudily painted Poker triplanes of von Richthofen's flying circus are diving down towards them. The hunters have just become the hunted. Before Jack can react, the triplanes swoop into the dogfight. The sky is suddenly filled with nearly 50 planes wheeling around in a desperate life and death struggle. From a distance, they look like a swarm of angry bees against a spectacular backdrop of cumulus clouds rising in towering columns. Close in, it's stomach-churning, noisy and violent as terrified pilots throw their planes around the sky in desperate attempt to blast bullets into each other. You may have seen movie dogfights before, but you haven't seen one like this. Jack wrenches the control stick, sending his camel through a series of tight turns, wincing in as boiling castor oil from the rotary engine slaps into his face. There are so many planes that collision is as threatening as the deadly tracer fire that zips all the directions. Matt fires at a triplane, the blasts of his guns causing his plane to tremble violently. The triplane's top wing breaks away, sending Germans into a fatal spin. Jack stares into horror Mackenzie's camel, and one on fire, and flying straight towards him. He frantically tries to steer his plane away, but crump. Jack's plane clips Mackenzie's and goes into an immediate spin. Jack tries to regain control, his right hand wingtip in his tanters. Matt sees his buddy going down and dives after him, blasting at a couple of triplanes that are closing in on crippling camel. Jack uses all his strength to hold the control stick back and pull out off the dive. He's dangerously close to the ground, the shell-torn landscape of no man's land. Matt levels out alongside as Jack loses his last few feet of height and smashes into the ground. His undercarriage breaks away and the camel slides to a stop to the mud. Exterior, no man's land, day. Jack leans back in the cockpit, his nose bloody from the crash, but otherwise unharmed. Bang, bang, bang. Machine gun bullets suddenly rip into the plane. German soldiers are firing at him from the trenches. The camel bursts into flame as bullets puncture the gas tank. Jack quickly rolls out of the cockpit and cruises away just as Matt rolls lower overhead, scraping the machine gun nest with a withering stream of tracer fire. Jack's plane explodes. He slides safely into a muddy shell hole, pulling his service revolver out of the holster. Jack rips his flying helmet and goggles off. We see that he is just a 17-year-old kid. From out of the thick black plume of smoke from the burning flame, Matt's Sopwith camel suddenly appears, gliding very low. He's attempting to land. Matt carefully guides the plane between shell holes and almost gets away with this landing. Just as the plane slows to a stop, it hits a coil of barbed wire and flipped on its back. Matt releases his seatbelt, falls to the ground, and pulls off his flying helmet. Matt is about 20 years old.
Jack!
Matt races towards the burning wreckage, gunfire from the German trenches, kicks the mud around his feet, and he dives forward into a large shell hole.
Matt!
Matt's only a few yards away from Jack, but they have to stay in their respective shell holes as a ground-shaking volley of artillery fire thunders around them.
What the hell are you doing?
Saving your lousy ass.
You're not saving anybody. You're in a shit like me.
Matt and Jack start to chuckling. Matt hears a low noise, turns around and screams. Low angle, point of view. A burly German soldier rams his bayonet towards camera. Close on Matt's face, he gasps in shock as he's stabbed in the stomach.
Matt!
Jack staggers over the top of the shell hole, confronting the 3 German soldiers who have descended en masse. He fires his revolver at them, killing each shoulder. Image slows down, turning into grainy black and white. Jack sinks into his knees, sobbing with grief. Camera rises into the sky. Dissolve 2. Exterior. Sumatran dig. Day. Closing on a grotesque face. Eyes bulging, tongue wedged between teeth. Pull out from the bizarre stone carving of a man riding a buffalo as the side of a wooden packing case swings shut, sealing the ancient figure into a tea chest marked British Museum, London. A couple of Sumatran laborers banner nails into the chest, crane up to reveal an extensive archaeological excavation underway in the foothills of the Bukit Seguntang Mountains near Palambang. Super British Museum Archaeological Dig, Super Sumatra 1993. The dig is nestled in a lush, humid valley. A spectacular waterfall thunders into a river that bisects the camp. A group of tents with a Union Jack fluttering from a makeshift flagpole. 8 British archaeologists are spread around, buddling over shell pits and primitive stone monuments, painstakingly freeing the remains of 12th century Hindu shrine from the grip of the Sumatran jungle. The most spectacular moment is a huge loft stone Buddha set into a shallow cave below a rocky cliff. It sits serenely, casting in an impassive gaze over the entire site. Numerous Sumatran laborers move about, carrying buckets of dirt away from individual dig sites. Close on, a young woman's hands excitedly scraping mud from a burled artifact that she has just discovered. A smelly bronze statue of a warrior in a fierce war mask, pitted with age, one arm broken off. It carries a spear made from ivory. Anne Darrow is an attractive young English woman in her early 20s. She wears baggy khaki trousers and a cotton shirt, her blonde tied back in a ponytail. She issues orders to Mandawi, a Sumatran laborer.
Mandawi, fetch some warm soapy water.
Yes, Miss Darrow.
Mantawi races away. Anne marvels at her find as she gently frees it with the mud. The shadow looms over her, and she quickly stands up, her confidence suddenly draining. Lord Linwood Darrow is in his late 70s, but still cuts a dashing figure. His only apparent concession to age, his stout walking stick.
What have you got there?
Neolithic bronze reminiscent of the Nias Island cultures. It's very curious, defiantly pagan. The use of ivory for the spear is quite unique. What do you think?
I think you're trying to run before you can walk, Anne.
Anne's face drops. Lord Darrow takes the statue and gently leads her away from the site.
You're here merely to observe. Leave the digging to people who know what they're doing, my dear.
They approach an elaborate stone pillar, carved intricately.
Now, look at this fine example of early Hindu art. I don't recall any sketches of this passing across my desk.
I photographed it extensively, Father.
Photography teaches you nothing, Anne. Click! 1 second and you've seen all you're going to see. I want you sitting here with your paper and pencils. I want you to see every chisel mark reproduced with painstaking accuracy. Understand the carving and you'll understand the people. That, Anne, is the key to archaeology.
Lord Darrow walks away, leaving Anne scowling at the statue. Cut 2. Close on Anne's discovery, viewed through a magnifying glass. Walter Douglas, a British archaeologist, slowly scans the small figure. Lord Darrow stands beside him, a perplexed frown on his face.
It makes no sense, Dougie. Pagan artifacts below a Hindu site.
It's like all the others. It's human bone.
Douglas carefully places the statue on a linen-covered table. Mary other small artifacts, clearly the work of the same culture, cover the table. All are bronze, and all have bone accessories.
My guess, it is sacrificial, some sort of offering.
An unknown culture. A barbaric race with no regard for human life.
Cut 2. Exterior. Palembang Harbor Day. Palembang Docks, a crowded series of wharves where native outriggers and fishing boats compete for space with the rustling coastal traders. Amongst the junk that litters the harbor, an old Avro seaplane. Beached on the muddy barks, canvas ripped with wings broken. A large tramp steamer, the Venture, glides towards the dock, blasting its horn at the crowd of native boats crossing its path. Exterior, Venture Deck, Day, point of view from the Venture of Palembang Harbor. Pull back to reveal a camera crew shooting the side from the bow of the ship. The cameraman pronounced limp. The sound recordist is Randall Perk. Unpleasant, ratty-faced, potential troublemaker. Their equipment boxes are stenciled with Carl Denham pictures. Captain Engelhorn, a dry old-school skipper, peers the sheep in. Peak switches his tape recorder off. Remove his headphones.
Another god-forsaken rat hole. Huh.
Kurt Voss is a wandering past. Reading an Indonesian English translation book, Kurt is an immensely strong shipsmate, British-looking and basically slow-witted. The kind of guy who moves his lips when he reads. He has a love of classical music.
Hai sawaku yang tai. That means hello, my good friend.
Peak flipped his middle finger at Kurt.
That means piss off.
Captain Engelhorn yells from the bridge.
Secure the moorings!
Cut 2. Exterior. Palembang Docks. Day. A group of 10 Sumatran officials are waiting nervously on the docks as the gangplank is secured. Peak is the first off, followed by Herb, staggering under the weight of the camera and tripped. Mr. Salamat Ginting, the local district commissioner, steps forward, thrusting a garland flowers around Peak's neck. A tin pot band strikes up, an out-of-tune version of Dixie.
We welcome you, Mr. Denham. We celebrate the bonding of our cultures. The peoples of Sumatra unite in friendship with the peoples of Hollywood land.
Peak hands the garland back.
Save it, buddy. You've got the wrong guy.
Roll camera! Roll sound! I'm coming ashore!
Denham is a showman, a larger-than-life character, part Orson Welles, part John Huston. A man in love with his own legend. He has a reputation for traveling to the most dangerous corners of the world, producing exotic documentaries. These thrilled audience in the days before TV with their images of elephant stampedes and lions hunting. Denham is overweight, has no taste in wardrobe, and sweats profusely. Mr. Ginting puts the garland over Denham's head.
We welcome you, Mr. Denham. We celebrate the bonding.
Denham pumps Mr. Ginting's hand enthusiastically, steering around to face the camera.
Hi, Carl Denham. How's it going? Wonderful to be here.
Denham moves off down the line of the officials, shaking hands, not pausing for their names, and always playing the camera.
Over here. Pleased to meet you. Hi, how's it going? Pleased to meet you. Hi, Carl Denham. How's it going?
We offer ourselves at your service, Mr. Denham.
And I appreciate that so much, I really do. Sentiment that will be shared by audiences across America when they view my latest documentary sensation, Indonesia, hellhole of the world. Ernest Hemingway's agreed to write the narration. We're going out through Universal. Limahl's promised me 1,500 screens.
Mr. Ginting nods politely. Sound of loud truck horn. A truck, fully laden with sawn logs, is trying to drive into the wharf. Dixie falls apart as the band grab their instruments and scatter. The truck reaches the Denham and the reception group. Jack Driscoll leans out of the cab.
You guys are going to have to move.
Jack is now in his early 30s. He has not lost his boyish looks, but years of tropical sun has darkened his skin. The officials look frustrated. Jack leaps out of the cab, strides over. He gestures towards a cargo barge moored next to the Venture.
If I don't get my cargo on this ship, I'll miss the sailing.
Herb's viewfinder point of view. Jack walks into the shot.
Hey, buddy, I don't know who you think you are, but you just walked into a Carl Denham picture. Take a hike.
Jack sees the camera pointing at him.
What the hell is going on?
It's Hollywood.
Yeah, well, see that?
He points at his heavily laden truck.
That's Jack's wood, and it's going on that boat.
Jack jumps into the cab and drives straight at the officials, sending the reaction into chaos. Herb has to quickly pull the camera and tripod away. Denham looks furious. Mr. Ginting buries over, looking sick with fear and embarrassment.
I'm so sorry.
Denham spins around, his mood so black. He looks as if he might hit Mr. Ginting. He suddenly breaks into a charming smile.
It is I who has to apologize, sir. It's people like him who give Americans a bad name.
Mr. Ginting almost sobs with relief.
You are most kind. We'll be proud to assist you.
Exotic lands, primitive people, dangerous animals. That's what the public expect from a Carl Denham picture. Lead us into the mountains, sir.
The mountains?
Denham puts an arm around Mr. Ginting's shoulder.
Shut your eyes. Let me paint a picture in your mind.
Mr. Ginting squeezes his eyes shut.
Our cameras are focused on the deepest Sumatran jungle. Steam rises from the verdant foliage. Suddenly a jackal screams, "Ah!" Why? Why? Because the beast is moving through the trees, eyes blazing, incisors dripping. The beast knows no fear, for he is the most powerful creature to walk on the land. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Mr. Ginting?
Mr. Ginting nods fearfully. Exterior, logging camp, Sumatran mountains, day. Montage, Sumatran lumberjacks are working at fewer pitch, clearing a rainforest. Saws, axes rip into the trees. They crash to the ground. A primitive sawmill works the logs in rough, sawn timbers. Several acres has been stripped. The foreman watches with satisfaction as the last solitary tree in this block is attacked by two axemen. Jack pulls up in this truck.
Hey, great work, guys. You guys earned yourself a bonus.
Jack leaps out of the truck as the last tree starts to splinter. Suddenly, a terrified scream comes out of the topmost branch of the tree. The foreman looks sick.
Orangutan.
The scream continues as the tree slowly topples to the ground with a thundering crash.
Goddamn
Sudden
monkeys. Oh, oops. Goddamn monkeys. They piss me off.
Jack strides into a makeshift wooden hut. Interior, logging office, day.
All right, the sooner we clear this forest, the better.
The office is functional and tidy. The sound of panic. Jack turns a tenku. A Sam Mill worker is carried into the office with a nasty injury to his finger.
Tinkle hurt pretty bad, boss.
Jack clears the dark with a sweep of his arm. They lay the tenku down. Jack looks at the wound, a nasty shard of metal. The size of a dinner knife is embedded in his leg. Jack grins at Tenku, clearly not wanting to alarm him.
Hey, it's just a splinter.
Jack takes a grip of the metal shard.
How's Mrs. Tenko? She must be close.
Baby due any day.
Jack suddenly pulls the shard out. Workers close in, wrapping the wound in bandages.
Okay, boys, take them to the hospital. Quick now.
Tenku is carried outside. As Sam Mill vehicle pulls up, close on the safe, Jack quickly takes a wad of banknotes and slips them into an envelope. Exterior, logging camp, Sumatran Mountains, day. Tenku is slid into the back seat of the car. Jack strides out of the office.
Hey, you want to be more careful?
Jack leans in, slipping in the envelope into Tenku's hand.
You dropped this in my office.
Tenku gives Jack a grateful toothless grin as the door slams shut and the car roars away. An eerie animal roar suddenly echoes across the valley. The entire site pauses as workers look around, trying to figure out where this fearful sound is coming from. Jack frowns. Exterior, Sumatran Highlands, day. Roar continues, over a slow pan across a misty ridgeline. Exterior, jungle clearing, day. Roar continues. Par into Carl Denham, roaring into a megaphone. He is sitting in one of two vehicles, parked just off the road. On the edge of a clearing, several crew members from the ship are perched into the vehicles, including Peake and Kurt. Mr. Ginting and two Sumatran guides look nervously around, clutching rifles. Denham lowers the megaphone, looking very satisfied with himself. Denham.
You're on mute.
The sound of a wounded warthog, a little trick I picked up from Chow Chow people of New Guinea. Keep your eye on the eyepiece, Herb. We won't be waiting long.
Herb has the camera set up in the middle of the clearing, his lens staring to the thick, dark jungle that lies ahead. He looks alone and vulnerable. Denham throws a huge lump of bloody raw meat into the clearing. It lands on Herb's feet. He swallows nervously. Denham settles back into his seat, lighting a large cigar.
Tell me, Mr. Ginting, are there any parts of your country where you people still wear native costume?
Native costume?
You know, traditional ceremonies where the women divest themselves of their undergarments?
Denham gestures at his chest. Mr. Ginting is confused.
Skipping
You
that
know.
line. Yeah.
It's too bad if they don't.
Peake.
Too bad.
Mr. Ginting frowns.
We're a very modest and deeply religious people, Mr. Denham.
That's too bad.
A noise from the jungle. Denim suddenly leaps to his feet.
He's close, boys. Roll camera, roll sound.
Herb rolls camera. The whirring motor is the only sound in the clearing. Even the birds are suddenly quiet, branches swapping, leaving, shaking. Something is approaching from inside the dense jungle. Tense faces, Denim, Mr. Ginting, Kurt, Herb, wipes a bead of sweat from his brow without taking his eye off the eyepiece. A gasp is heard from the group as the book part and out steps the mighty Sumatran tiger. It warily steps into the clearing, regarding Herb with suspicion. He can barely breathe as he paints or he pants, following the tiger's movements.
Looking good, Herb. Stand by for the roar. Here we go.
Denim lowers his megaphone and throws a large stone, hitting the tiger on the back. The tiger roars.
Boy, those teeth were in focus, Herb. Were those teeth in focus?
You're on mute.
Yeah.
The tiger sniffs the meat, rejects it.
He doesn't want the meat.
He snarls at Herb.
Man-eater!
A man-eater. Fantastic! Making history, Herb.
For God's sake, get him out of here!
Just a few more seconds.
The tiger suddenly springs on Herb. The cameraman screams as he falls backwards. Camera, tripod, and tiger landing on top of him. For a moment, all onlookers are frozen in their vehicles. Mr. Ginting suddenly raises his rifle and fires. Cut to exterior, Sumatran day. Bang, bang! Gunshots echo across the dig site. Everybody stops, looking around. Lord Darrow faces or races out of a tent. At that moment, the tiger races out of the undergrowth, charging straight through the camp.
Tiger!
Chaos erupts. Brief images, fleeting glimpses of the tiger racing through the camp, leaping tables, crashing through tents. People are running, diving, grabbing rifles. Anne pushes a Sumatran maid clear of the tiger. Vehicles suddenly burst out of the trees and career wildly through the camp. The Sumatran Ran guides are shooting at the fleeting tiger. Herb, battered and bleeding, is filming from one of the bouncing vehicles. Denim is balancing in front of the seat with a look of euphoria. Like the vehicles do more damage than the tiger. Ancient statues are bowed over. Guy ropes snag on the cars, ripping tents out of the ground. Lunch tables are destroyed. People that leapt away from the tiger have to leap further to avoid speeding cars. Bang, bang! The tiger does a huge leap as bullets whiz by, ricocheting off the Buddha in the BG. Lumps of rotten stone fly off in the clouds of dust. The tiger bounds up the bank beside the Buddha and disappears into the undergrowth. Lord Barrow runs in at the vehicles.
Stop it, you idiots!
Anne races towards her father as the vehicles slide to a halt at the foot of the cliff below the Buddha.
Mother,
These are priceless artifacts! They're ruining the site!
Kurt, who is this limey asshole?
Kurt runs. Lord Darrow hurries towards the vehicles.
Out! Out, all of you! We've been issued with an exclusive permit!
father, father.
The Buddha. Bullet hits have blown lumps of stone away, revealing a creepy bronze statue. Concealed beneath the thin Buddha-shaped outer layer, Only a small section is revealed, but it is clear that bronze figure is that of an animal.
What the?
Lord Darrow rushes up the slope to the statue. He hits the stone vendor with his stick once, twice. On the third blow, the remainder of the Buddha shell suddenly crumbles away and falls into a heap on the ground. Exposed for the first time in nearly 800 years is the statue of frightening animal, an ape-like creature, face snarling with fearsome rage, bristled fur, taloned bands. It sits atop a pile of real human skulls, integrated into a bronze work. At the base of the statue, panels of hieroglyphic type inscription, an ancient piece of frightening art. It sends the group into stunned silence.
Good Lord, I don't believe it.
Low angle, Lord Darrow turns to face the group, the statue filling the frame behind him. The old man's eyes blaze with obsessive intensity.
Behold, the beast god! Come!
Mr. Ginting backs away, trembling.
Kong? Worshipped by a savage race, Talak Ea Kong, the cult of the beast god, until now a myth, a superstition.
The Sumatrans are all backing away. The Europeans stare at the statue. Kurt moves closer, studying the hieroglyphics on a panel that seems to contain a crude map. The atmosphere is mesmerizing. Silence.
That was great, your lordship. Now, if you wouldn't mind, just repeat that and we'll get it from another angle. Exact same words, please.
Herb has been filming Lord Darrow.
No photography! Turn that thing off!
Denham climbs out of his vehicle.
Hi, Carl Denham. I'm a big admirer of your work, sir. I've loved all your discoveries. I really want to work closely with you on this incredible find. It'll be good for you and good for me.
Denham, you're not welcome here. Just pack your cameras and go.
Denham's face clouds with anger.
I don't take orders from women in trousers. Herb, get a close-up of this big monkey.
Herb carries the tripod and camera towards the statue. Douglas suddenly rushes up forward, pushing Herb away. In a split second, Kurt punches Douglas to the ground, knocking him out. Gun cocks. Anne has snatched a rifle from the car. She aims it at Kurt. He backs away.
You got a hearing problem? Get out.
Denham's group climbs into their vehicles.
You just made a big mistake, lady. This is a public place. I know my rights. Charles Lindbergh's lawyer is a personal friend of mine. I'm going to put you people in litigation hell for the next 5 years.
Cut to interior, venture, dusk. Close on a drawing of a map from the base of the Kong statue. It appears to show the position of a small island southwest of the Sumatran mainland. Kurt is sketching from memory. He refers to his translation book. Denham and the ship's skipper, Captain Engelhorn, looks on.
Palo Tenkorak, the island of the skull.
What else? Were there directions?
Yeah.
Kurt looks at them blankly.
Well,
There were detailed navigational coordinates in any ancient Sanskrit alphabet. I didn't have time to translate all that.
Look, I've sailed these waters for 27 years. There's no island like that around here.
what a climax to the film. The first white men set foot on Skull Island. Oh, 20th century man comes face to face with a Naked Stone Age tribe.
I tell you, it doesn't exist.
We need those coordinates. Somebody's got to get back in there and jot the rest of it down.
A cuff OS. Denim turns and his gaze settles on Peak, standing in the doorway. Exterior, Sumatran dig, dusk, close on Anne, skillfully producing an accurate pencil rubbing off the hieroglyphics and map on a sheet of tracing paper. Lord Darrow and Douglas are studying the statue of Kong. In the soft twilight, they talk quietly out of Anne's earshot.
The beast god cult flourished up until the 5th century. It originated on a remote island and quickly spread to the mainland, where the worshippers were systematically hunted down and killed by the Hindu. No likeness of Kong was allowed to survive. All trace of this culture was eliminated as if it had never existed.
Oh, are you suggesting a pocket still survives on this island?
Maybe. But from what we know of the culture, I wouldn't set foot on the island of the skull with anything less than full military backup.
Anne comes running over, excitedly waving the finishing copy of the map.
Father, it's somewhere southwest of here. We need to inform the museum, organize an expedition.
All in due course, Anne. Our first responsibility is to get these artifacts safely back to London.
Darrow checks the time with an ornately engraved silver fob watch. Binocular, point of view, Anne with map. Lord Darrow and Douglas.
But it's here, an undiscovered island.
Close on Randall Peak, casing the side from a safe distance.
Hey,
Jack is scrambling up the hill towards the group.
Oh God, it's that bloody Yank.
Not now, Anne. Try to be polite.
all right, old man, you better have a good explanation because you've just lost my 10 grand worth of business.
I beg your pardon?
Look, I've got a contract to clear 100,000 acres of rainforest by Christmas, and my entire workforce, they just walked off. They're spooked by some weird shit you guys are pulling out of the ground.
Oh, no, that can't be right. We've had no problems with our people.
Cut 2, point of view. Tent flap pulled back to reveal. Large, empty tent, clearly vacated in a hurry. Wide-shot Lord Darrow looks around. Apart from the handful of English, camp is deserted. Anne looks frustrated. Jack stands with his hands on his hips. Anthony, another archaeologist, runs over Lord Darrow.
They said the wrath of Kong has returned. Those in his shadow will be plagued by death.
Call the shipping company, Tony. It's time we started freighting the artifacts home.
Your lordship, aren't you forgetting about something? I appreciate a little talk about compensation.
What?
He's grubbing for money, Father.
Look, I just want to deal with your boss, okay?
No, it's not okay. We're not about to be robbed blind by some two-bit hustler on the make.
You? Calling me a thief? Well, that's great. Coming from a glorified grave robber, you break into a tomb of some dead Egyptians. The poor guy's happily enjoying the afterlife when suddenly his shit gets stolen by a bunch of light-fingered limeys.
Tell me, Mr. Driscoll, is it a requirement of the forestry business that you have to be as thick as the trees you cut down?
Anne!
Lord Darrow steps forward. Jack backs away in mock horror.
Holy God, the mummy walks!
How dare you? My father is the British Museum's most respected archaeologist.
Oh, do they have him on display at the weekends?
Close on Anne's map, on a table with other sketches. Pete calmly grabs it and heads away. Everyone is distracted by the argument. That continues.
God, you're so obnoxious. Our work happens to be of great anthropological value.
Value. Value.
Jack grabs an ancient earthenware pot off a table of artifacts.
You couldn't get 10 cents for this thing. It's cracked.
He tosses the pot over his shoulder, smashing it. Behind Jack, all hell breaks loose. Military vehicles roar into the camp. 100 Sumatran soldiers spill out of the several trucks. They stream through the site, yelling and pulling people from tents.
Out of your tents! Out of your tents!
Jack looks around, totally confused.
What is the meaning of this?
The Sumatran colonel in charge steps up.
Janet, Colonel?
We are closing you down. No more permit. You go home.
Tents are being torn down. Artifacts swept into sacks. Books and papers are thrown into a pile and dosed with petrol.
You can't destroy these things. They're part of history.
Some things better left alone.
Whoosh! The fire roars into life. A sudden yell. Randall Peak is thrown to the ground by 2 soldiers. He's clutching Anne's map.
He was caught trying to escape.
Colonel unrolls the map.
That's mine.
Burn everything.
He hands the map to the soldier 1. Anne tries to rush forward, but is restrained by soldier 2. Lord Darrow sees soldiers streaming away from the Kong statue.
We're shipping that back to England.
Janet?
That won't be necessary.
Kaboom! The Kong statue is blown into a 1,000 pieces.
God forgive you.
Darrow sinks to his knees, clutching his chest.
Father!
Anne rushes over. The Lord Darrow gently pitches forward into the ground. She cradles her father's head in her lap.
Somebody help me! Help me!
Jack kneels over Lord Darrow, shakes his head.
I'm sorry.
No!
Anne bursts into tears, falls on her father's body, sobbing with grief. The colonel takes her arm. Everyone under our protection.
Everyone under our protection. You and your father's body will be escorted to airfield in the morning for plane home. No more permit.
The colonel attempts to pull Anne away from their father's body. Jack roughly shoves the colonel away.
Leave her alone, for Christ's sake.
Soldier 2 clubs Jack with his rifle butt. Jack falls to the ground. Soldier 2 snatches Lord Darrow's fob watch as a trophy. Suddenly, Jack rockets up, grabbing Soldier 2's rifle. He rams the butt into the colonel's stomach, smashing Soldier 2 across the chin. The fob watch falls to the ground. Soldier 1 is by fire, about to burn Anne's map. He raises his rifle. In a flash, Jack throws the rifle at Soldier 1, knocking him into the fire. Anne's map flutters to the ground. Confusion erupts. Soldier shoots wildly at Jack as he disappears into the darkness. Anne stands alone by her father's body, zombie-like. Close on the fob watch. Anne picks it up. A piece of paper blows at her feet. She looks down at the map. Close on Peak, watching her. Cut 2. Jack dodges a flurry glowfire and leaps into the truck. He guns the engine and roars off down the jungle track. Exterior, jungle track, night, clunk. Somebody jumps into the tray of his truck before he gains much speed. Jack plants boot and swerves violently, trying to throw them off. The intruder nearly rolls out. Jack looks into his side mirror. Anne's only just clinging to the side, still clutching the map. She stares angrily into the mirror.
For God's sake, it's me.
Jack's close enough to allow Anne to clamber into the cab through the passenger door. Smash! A bullet shatters the rear window as two Sumatran military cars speed up behind them.
They're gaining on us.
The chase accelerates out of the jungle and down a narrow mountain road. A sheer 300 feet drop on one side. Jack throws his truck around corners with recklessness. The stony track is barely wide enough for a vehicle, not one sliding around tight corners. At times, one wheel hangs out in space. Anne clings to her seat. Jack has gained on the military vehicles as they reach the bottom of the hill, racing on a dirt road beside a muddy river. Jack looks back, failing to take a corner. Exterior, river, night. The truck flies off the road, splashing into the river. Jack and Anne brace themselves as the truck lurches to a halt. It lies half submerged into the river beside an old wooden pier. The water level is just above the bottom of the truck's windows. Within seconds, the water fills the cab up to their necks. The first military vehicle roars past, but the second stops. Our old friends, soldiers 1 and 2, get out and approach the pier.
Get out and stay under the pier.
Before they can move, a large crocodile suddenly lunges at Anne. Its snapping jaws thrusting through her side window. Anne falls back into Jack's lap. The croc's shoulders are too wide for the window. It gets wedged, snapping at Anne, inches short of her nose. More crocodile descend on the truck, clawing at Jack's window and windscreen. It threatens to break under the strain. A flashlight beam plays on the car. The two soldiers approach holding rifles.
Shoot them!
More crocs scramble into the tray, snapping through the broken rear window. Jack and Anne huddle together, their mouths at water level, teeth snapping all around them. Jack can see the two soldiers through a side mirror. They're enjoying the show, cracking a private joke.
Come here!
The two soldiers don't respond.
I said come here. I don't. I have a will, and I've got 20 grand stashed in a Singapore bank. I want you to have it.
As Jack speaks, he is gasping for air and spitting out water. The two soldiers warily approach, their rifles trained on Jack.
Look. I know you guys aren't sadistic, evil scum. I know you're really good boys at heart. And I want you and your families to get some pleasure, from my lifetime of hard work.
Jack's point of view, the two soldiers edge closer along the pier, totally preparing for any trick Jack might pull. Behind them, a huge fat croc climbed the riverbank and is wading steadily into the pier.
Royal Bank of Singapore. Ask for Sun Yun Khan. For Christ's sakes, don't get him mixed up with Sultan Khan. That guy works at the next desk. He's total asshole. Won't give you anything.
Two soldiers nod. The fat croc is getting near, but moving very slowly. Anne, too, is approaching the croc through the mirror. A snapping croc nips Jack's shoulder, drawing blood. He gasps.
All right. I'll give you the account number. You should write it down. 17. Guys, I'm real worried you're going to forget this. I've got enough stress at the moment. Write this thing down.
Soldier 1 lowers his rifle and pulls a notepad out of his pocket, just as. The fat croc charges. He covers the last few feet, moving at lightning speed. He takes Soldier 2 into his jaws and, with a flick of his tail, sweeps Soldier 1 into the water. All the crocs leave the truck and descend to the trashing soldier like a pack of piranhas. Anne grabs the floating map, pushes the door open. She and Jack quickly wade to the back of the water behind them, a churning maelstrom. The soldier's vehicle. Jack races up to it and leans in. No keys.
Damn!
He does retrieve a pistol from the back seat. He trucks into his belt. Cut 2. Exterior. Sumatran Road. Night. Anne and Jack are walking along a road. Paddy fields on one side, jungle on the other. The lights of Palembang are glowing about 3 miles ahead. Car headlights appear behind them. They quickly duck into the undergrowth.
It's Dougie's car.
Jack hurries to the middle of the road, waving at the car. It slows down, suddenly accelerates, howling, bowling Jack. He rolls across the hood, landing in a heap on the ground.
Jack!
Anne runs over him. The cab stops and Randall Peak hops out.
Oh God, I didn't see him.
Jack's eyes flutter open. He looks up to see. Peak suddenly clubbed Anne. She topples over and Peak snatches the map. Anne, it's not my lucky night. Look at his face. Jack tries to get up, but he's too stunned and can only watch as Peak jumps back into the car and speeds away. Cut 2. Exterior. Palembang Harbor. Dawn. The Venture is steaming away from the docks. Smoke shoots out of its funnel at the boiler pressure. As the boiler pressure rises, the orange light of dawn fills the sky. Cut 2. Exterior. Palembang Docks. Dawn. Jack and Anne run into the dock. They look filthy, bruised, and very tired. Anne watches in despair as the Venture leaves the harbor mouth.
Where do I charter a boat?
There's nothing fast enough to catch that. Forget it. It's over.
I'm not doing this for me, Jack. It's for my father. This is possibly the greatest anthropological discovery of the last 200 years. It belongs to him. I'm going to that island. Nothing's going to stop me.
Jack glances at the native dugout.
Now, you might have some luck with that if you paddle as fast as you talk.
Jack turns and walks away, ducking into the shadows as a military vehicle cruises past in the distance.
Jack.
Jack turns. Anne is looking at the old two-seat float plane. Beached on the muddy bank. It is a total wreck. Broken wings, rudder hanging by the one hinge, control wire snapped and tangled.
Can you fly?
Are you kidding? God, that heap of junk will never leave the ground.
He turns and carries on walking.
Besides, I've given it away. I ain't flown it since the war. I ain't ever flying again at this point.
Cut 2. Exterior, Sumatran coast, morning. The Venture is a couple of miles off the Sumatran coast and heading out to sea. Interior, Venture Bridge, morning. Captain Engelhorn is steering the ship. Denham is pacing anxiously while Kurt studies Anne's pencil rubbing. He is marking a course on a modern map.
Here.
Denham watches with excitement as Kurt makes a cross in the middle of a vast empty ocean.
It says the island is surrounded by Salakpur, a fog bank.
How many days?
There's no island there. We're wasting our time.
I'm chartering this vessel, Engelhorn. How many days?
2, maybe 3.
The sound of an approaching plane. Exterior, Venture dock, morning. Denham and Kurt came out to the deck, scanning the sky for the plane.
Mr. Denham.
Kurt is pointing.
What the?
Crash cut 2. Exterior, Sumatran coast, morning. The old float plane is speeding along at the surface of the water. The engine is belching black smoke, but is still propelling the wreck at a far rate of knots. The floats slow signs of hasty repair to keep them waterlight. Close on Jack in the front cockpit, with Anne behind him. Sea spray is showering them. Jack is keeping an eye on the gauges. Crash cut 2.
I'm going to pull alongside. I can't cut the engine. She'll never start again.
Exterior, Venture, Ocean, morning. Most of the crew are lining the decks, watching the amusement as the float plane pulls up alongside. Engelhorn has cut the engines. Denham groans when he recognizes Anne.
I'm coming on board. Throw down a ladder.
You're out of your depth here, Miss Darrow.
There's no hard feelings, Mr. Denham. I just want to come to the island with you.
Does this look like the Queen Mary? We don't take passengers. Full steam ahead, Captain Engelhorn.
Denham walks away.
Well, that was certainly worth the effort. What do you do for an encore?
Anne suddenly reaches forward, snatching the pistol out of Jack's belt. Denham and Engelhorn head towards the bridge. Bang, bang, gunshots. They race back to the side. Bang, bang. Anne is pumping bullets into the plane's floats. It immediately starts sinking.
Are you going to stand there and watch us drown, gentlemen?
Throw down the ladder. Quick now.
Close on. Denham.
Shit!
Cut to. Exterior. Ocean. Day. Wide shot. The Venture. Steaming towards the horizon. Interior. Anne's cabin. Day. Anne is shown into a small functional cabin by Kurt.
Afraid Miss Darrow takes the last cabin there. I could put you.
I think we skipped around. Hey, I'll take care of that. I'll take care of myself. Thanks.
Jack heads towards the front of the ship. He approaches an open door. A pair of feet protrude from beneath the door. Jack suddenly kicks the door. With a scream, Randall Peake drops to the deck, clutching his bleeding mouth.
Sorry, allergies. I didn't see you there.
Jack walks on. Exterior, stern deck, Venture, Day, close on a golf ball, sitting on a tee. Whack! Denham hits the ball out to the sea. He is aiming at a small raft with a golf pole and flag that is being towed 100 yards behind the ship. He wears a cap and +4s.
Mr. Denham.
Denham glances at Anne as he tees up. Again, she is wearing a borrowed set of men's clothes.
Can I see the map? My father spoke of references to a beast god.
Kong is myth, nothing but a native superstition, Miss Darrow. All we're going to find on that island is some primitive people in grass skirts. Now, if you'll excuse me, I am trying to reduce my handicap.
Denham swings at the ball.
Have you considered a personality transplant?
Denham misses the ball. Exterior. 4, deck, Day. Herb is cleaning his camera in the sunshine. It lies on a blanket in pieces. His shoulder is still bandaged from the tiger attack. Anne is relaxing beside him.
I know it can be a little crass, but Mr. Denham is basically a good guy. Put both my kids through school.
Herb lifts the camera body and winces.
It's your shoulder.
Shoulder's fine. It's this.
Herb pulls up a sleeve and flinches at the sight of the ugly scar on his arm.
Sea lion up in Nova Scotia. No hospitals. It was stitched up by an Eskimo housewife using penguin gut. The sinew never really mended.
Oh.
No. We got the shot. Mr. Denham won an award for that picture. Personally, I'm more proud of animal love in the Rockies. I got some wonderful footage of a pair of grizzlies, mating. Excuse my language.
Herb pulls up his trouser leg, revealing an artificial limb.
Cost me my leg. But as Mr. Denham says, pain is temporary, film is forever.
Anne looks appalled. Exterior, deck, night. Anne emerges from the door, walks past a covered lifeboat, and leans on the rail. Kurt is hunched on a box, playing a violin. It is a heavy sea, and spray mists over Anne. Her blonde hair blows in the wind. It is a lyrical moment.
Brahms' lullaby.
Oh, can't say I do, Miss Darrow.
When I was little and away from home, Father would sing it to me when I got scared. Lullaby and good night. Go to bed and sleep tight.
Oh, yeah.
Kurt recognizes the tune and joins with his violin. Anne continues singing, withdrawing her father's silver pub watch from her jacket.
Your eyes start to yawn, pleasant dreams into dawn.
Anne releases her father's watch and disappears into the churning sea. She wanders away down the deck. Vomit sounds. Anne jumps with fright as the lifeboat cover suddenly lifts up and Jack leans out, throwing up. He glances at Anne with bleary eyes. Jack, haven't found my sea legs yet.
Oops.
Not a good-
Sorry, that's a line. My bad. I haven't found my sea legs yet. I'm not a good sailor, but who's complaining? I'm on a wonderful cruise with a first-class accommodations, and a beautiful babe just walked into my bedroom.
Jack rolls back in his lifeboat.
Yeah, life's pretty good at the moment.
I don't know what happened to you, Jack, but I can't believe you were always this much of a bastard.
When this boat finally reaches Jakarta, I'll be first off. You'll never see me again, and believe me, that day can't come soon enough. I've got no problem with you ignoring me for the rest of the voyage, to be honest.
Anne turns and walks away to the sound of the soulful violin. Interior, Anne's cabin, dawn. Anne wakes to the sound of voices and running feet. Exterior, deck, dawn. Anne emerges from her cabin, hurriedly pulling a sweater on. Kurt runs past, heading for the bridge.
We've arrived!
Interior, bridge, dawn. A sweeping pan of the horizon. Nothing but empty sea. Denham, Englehorn, Kurt, and Anne are standing. Bridge, looking in all directions.
I guess that answers your questions. There's no island on these coordinates, not even a lousy fog bank.
Well, that was a monumental waste of time. I paid good money, only to be taken on some wild goose chase. I made the mistake of trusting my idiot translator.
Jack arrives on the doorway. He glances at the charts.
It has to be here. It was on the map.
I'm turning this ship around. We're charting a course for Jakarta.
No, this is my father's discovery. You can't just abandon the search.
I have to apologize, Miss Darrow. It seems we've all been badly misled. Kurt, I want you to take this the right way. You are a genuine moron.
Anne breaks down into tears, into sobs. Jack looks at her, makes a decision.
We're further south than this.
He's pointing out at the cross marking the island. Anne looks at him. A flicker of hope crosses her face. Denham raises his eyebrows. Englehorn frowns.
I guess we're at least half a degree below the charted course. The island's a couple 100 miles northwest.
Impossible!
I know how to navigate, Captain Englehorn. You've made a mistake.
This is lunacy. He's
Steer,
talking nonsense.
steer a course northwest, Captain Englehorn.
Exterior, deck, dawn. Jack is walking away from the bridge. Anne runs after him.
Jack!
Jack pauses. He turns. She wipes the last of her tears away.
I want to thank you.
It's okay. I know what you're feeling.
I can't imagine you crying.
Relax, it was 15 years ago. I don't do it now.
Jack turns and walks away. Cut 2. Interior, Denham's cabin, night. Denham hosting dinner for Jack and Anne. He is in a relaxed, jovial mood. He reaches under the table and produces a gift-wrapped present. He hands it to Anne. She is surprised.
It's time to smoke the peace pipe, as we say back in America. I bought this in Singapore for the wife, but I'd like you to have it.
Anne holds up a pale satin nightdress and quilted dressing gown. Jack raises his eyebrows.
I hope it fits. Mrs. Denham's a big lady.
It's lovely.
Miss Darrow, I've been thinking I would very much like to dedicate this motion picture to the memory of your father. It's a great shame he wasn't able to join us on this adventure. Truly wonderful man.
Jack and Anne exchange a look.
I thought that with your assistance we could have the premiere at Albert Hall. We'll take out a full-page ad in Variety. The Lord Darrow benefit screening. We'll invite the King of England. Hell, we'll invite the whole royal family. It'd be good for them and good for us.
To be quite honest, Mr. Denham, I find the whole idea to be quite reprehensible.
Denham grins.
Thank you. I thought it was quite clever myself.
At that moment, the ship's engines suddenly stop. Denham frowns. Exterior, deck, Venture, night. Denham leads the way onto the deck, followed by Jack and Anne. All three stare in awe. Wide shot, the Venture sits on a flat sea, dwarfed by nearly vertical towering vault of fog. It rises hundreds of feet into the air, lit by an eerie moonlight. Interior, bridge, night. Close on Englehorn, knocks back a glass of scotch. He sits alone in the bridge. The ship has stopped, the wheel abandoned. Denham, Anne, and Jack race into the bridge.
I can take you no further, Denham.
It's trembling with
I'll read that, George.
fear. Kurt arrives at the bridge.
Kurt, take her into that fog. Nice and slowly.
Kurt pushes the lever to slow ahead and mans the wheel as the Venture starts to crawl towards the fog. Englehorn downs another scotch.
7 years ago, I picked up a castaway, the skipper of a Norwegian barge.
The group listened to Englehorn in silence.
I have never seen a man so mentally ravaged. He had gone blind, not through any injury, but because his mind could no longer deal with the terrible signs he had witnessed. I sat with him during his last night on earth, listening to his fevered whisperings. He spoke of sailing into a thick fog and of running around on an uncharted island. He spoke of a huge wall built by a long forgotten civilization and of a creature, neither man nor beast, that lived beyond that wall, or the 30 crewmen who made it ashore. He was the only one who looked into the eyes of the beast and survived.
Anne instinctively grasps Jack's hand.
If we sail into that fog.
If we sail into that fog, it will be the death of us all.
Low angle, Denham, the windows of the bridge behind him.
It's not a man who I'm not a man who easily succumbs to fear, Captain Singlehorn.
As Denham talks, the fog swirls over the windows, encapsulating the Venture in a milky shroud. Cut 2. Exterior. Fog bank. Night. The Venture glides silently through the fog. Exterior. Venture docks. Night. Montage. Tense faces Anne, Jack, Denham, Engelhorn. Nobody talks, just stares ahead into the glow. Crew line the front of the boat, looking for rocks. The propellers push the ship forward. The prow cuts through the water.
The light up ahead.
Sun's coming up. We've been in this fog for 6 hours.
The fog now glows, a sickly yellow as the Venture glides on. Exterior, underwater, dawn. The Venture's hull scraps against a coral outcrop. Exterior, Venture, decks, dawn. A sailor calls from the prow.
8 fathoms!
That was Janet.
8 fathoms.
Sorry.
Kurt is manning the wheel. He glances at Denham, who is staring intently ahead.
Hold her steady.
Anne gasps. The fog is suddenly clearing. Within seconds, the spectacular sight of island materializes in front of them, about 7 miles long by 1 mile wide. Steep cliffs rising from the sea, dense jungle growth across its interior. The island has several jagged ridges dominated by a tail or a sheer mountain at the far end. Anne is looking through binoculars.
I can see the wall.
Jack takes to the binoculars. Binocular point of view. At the closest end, the island forms a narrow peninsula, jutting above the canopy of trees. Jack can make out the top of a huge stone wall, seemingly cutting the peninsula off from the rest of the island. Other ruins are visible. At the foot of the peninsula is a sandy beach, the only visible landing site. Denham has been conspicuously silent. He's leaning against the rail, entranced by the island. Close on Denham.
We've hit pay dirt.
Cut 2. Exterior, Skull Island, day. Of the longboats in rowing towards the island, Denham, Jack, Anne, Engelhorn, Kurt, Herb, Peake, and 2 sailors are on board. With the exception of Anne, Jack, and Herb, everybody carries rifles. The Venture is moored into the background. Herb is filming from the prow. They row through jagged rocks, past the wreck of a wooden coastal schooner, possibly the Norwegian bark Engelhorn referred to. The skeletal ship is a creepy sight, particularly the row of strange bird-like creatures perched along a rotten main spar. The boat rounds a outcrop of rocks and lines up for the shore. An eerie phenomena suddenly occurs. The distant mountain, a mid-range ridge line, and foreground rocks all line up, providing an abstract but distinct image of a human skull, visible only from that one position.
Skull Island.
Cut 2. Exterior, beach, day. The boat is washed into the beach. Herb jumps out, camera and tripod on his shoulder. Kurt jostles Peake into the struggling, who is tape recorder.
What's the tape recorder? You wanna buy me a new one?
Let me go first. Roll camera.
Herb films as Denham wades ashore, playing to the camera.
This is a historic moment as Carl Denham becomes the first white man to set foot on virgin soil.
Anne bounds excitedly up the beach.
Look!
Runs towards the edge of the jungle. Stone structures became visible, half buried in vine-strewn jungle. The style of stonework is unusual, as advanced as the Incas and Egyptians, but with flowing gaudy-like lines and the strange mixture of stone, bronze, and bone seen earlier. Anne heads towards an archway set into a cliff. It is clearly an entrance to a tunnel. She is so excited, like a little girl in a picnic. Jack realizes she's unstoppable and runs after her, calling back to the others.
Hey, everybody, stay close.
Kurt and Peak follow Jack, but Denham, no intention of compromising his film.
Get a shot of me discovering the ruins, Herb.
Herb sets up. Interior, tunnel, crypt, day. Anne is leading Jack, Kurt, and Peak into a tunnel. It is manable or man-made and ornately decorated. Light filters in through cracks into the roof and occasional areas where stones have fallen in. The tunnel suddenly widens out to a large chamber. The group collectively gasp at the sight of over 100 mummies lining the wall. They are all neatly arranged in alcoves and are dressed in some kind of ceremonial clothing. A huge statue of Kong stands sentry at the far end of chamber, which clearly carries on through another archway. The place has the atmosphere of a cathedral. Anne picks up a small bronze figurine of Kong.
It's the same image. It's Kong.
Leave it, Anne.
Old dried flowers adorn the mummies, arranged in garlands. Jack frowns as he approaches one mummy, decorated with brighter than usual flowers. He touches them.
These are fresh.
Exterior, beach, jungle, day. Denham is into his third take of a shot, which involves him pulling vines from a statue and reacting in terribly theatrical manner. Herb, you find her. Point of view. Denham pulls vines away from and reacts. He suddenly looks past camera and reacts with genuine alarm as Pierce enters Herb's shot. They are pointing at Denham. Close on Herb, his eye to the eyepiece as we sense figures gathering behind him.
Keep rolling, Herb.
Engelhorn and the two sailors close in behind Denham, rifles at the ready. Wider A. Steadily increasing group of Skull Island natives are emerging from the thick undergrowth between the ruins. Denham's eyes flick left and right as he becomes aware that his small party is becoming surrounded. The Skull Island natives are similar to Solomon Islanders. Their skins are very dark, their features broad. But that is where the Melanesians' weapons suggest an Inca and Egyptian level of culture, but with a fierceness or even violence suggested in their design. This is not Afro and grass skirt territory. These people are scary. We will refer to them as natives. The natives have their weapons poised. A tense moment. It could go either way. Denham offers his hand to the lead native.
Hi, Carl Denham. How's it going? Do you mind if we do a little filming?
The lead
The lead
native.
native raises a knife.
Yeah.
Denham blanches.
Oh, wait, is this page 42?
No, that's 40.
Oh, all right. I'm not. My thing's not accurate then.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Fingers tighten on triggers. The lead native produces a leather gourd and stabs it. Milky liquid flows out. He takes a mouthful and offers it to Denham.
Take a drink, please.
Denham drinks a mouthful and passes it to Engelhorn and the sailors. Denham wipes his lips, relieved at his gestures of friendliness. He clamps a hand on the lead native's shoulder.
Sir, how would you like to star in a major motion picture? I can offer you some net points.
Cut to interior, tunnels, script, day. Jack, Anne, Peak, and Kurt are in the mummy chamber. When the drum starts, accompanied by a low, moaning, almost trance-like, Anne leads the way further up the tunnel complex, towards the sound.
This is crazy. We got to go back to the ship. Get more, guys.
The others ignore him and continue their weary journey. Interior, skull chamber, day. Jack, Anne, Kurt, followed by Peak. Too scared to head back by himself, floods in through opening carved in the representation of the eyes, nose, and mouth of a skull. The mouth being the doorway which leads straight into the heart of the native city. The ritualistic sounds are very loud. The group hurry across the chamber and peer out of the doorway, careful to remain concealed. They stare in wonderment at the sight ahead. Exterior, native city, day, spectacular ruins surround an open square. It is filled with native. In the midst of a wild ritualistic ceremony, a young woman sits bedecked in flowers atop an altar in the center of the square. Dwarfing all else in the wall, it rises directly from the square, towering 5 stories into the air. A stone structure with ornate carvings and decorated with huge tusk-like bones and bronze Kong figures. In the center of the wall is an enormous 40-foot wooden gate, strongly built and very old. From the vines and weeds that grow from cracks, it has clearly not been used for many years. The wall is not vertical on the side. It slopes like the pyramids, allowing quick access to the top. Jack frowns. Denham, Englehorn, Herb, and the 2 sailors are taking part into the ceremony. They are totally out of it. Denham is stripped down to his boxer shorts and gartered socks. He is in a frenzied dance with 2 native girls, drinking greedily from the gourd, milky fluid spilling down his chest. Englehorn is on his knees in some of his fervor, maidens smearing paint over his bare chest, a witch doctor piercing his nose with a ring. Herb and 2 sailors are in similar states of drug-induced delirium.
Holy shit!
The natives suddenly drop to their knees, all facing the young woman who remains strangely serene. They start chanting softly, Kong, Kong, Kong.
Is it a wedding?
It's a sacrificial ceremony. They're gonna kill that girl.
Anne looks at him, horrified.
She's not the only one. Up next, Katrin taking over for George. Give George a round of applause.
Thanks, everybody.
Katrin, whenever you're ready. Oh. Kat? All right.
You're on mute.
I was muted. Okay. All right. From Jack's position, he can see young native men armed with spiked clubs quickly closing in on Denham, Englehorn, Herb, and the 2 sailors who are still off their faces, oblivious to their own impending deaths. Jack turns to Peak.
Give me your gun.
Worried.
What for?
Give it to me.
Jack wrenches the rifle out of Peak's grasp. Is that too late? Sailor 1 is climbed into the ground. Jack targets another native about who to kill. Englehorn. Oh, am I also reading? Some of these don't have names.
Oh, just keep going. I'll help.
Okay. Bane. The native is shot off his face. The ceremony suddenly goes quiet. Without the incessant noise, we can clearly hear Denham singing a music hall tune.
99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer.
Jack steps out into the square, swinging the rifle from side to side. The loud gunshot has stunned the natives, but Jack knows they haven't got much time.
Hey, we're heading back to the ship. Grab them.
Kurt and Peak step into the square, followed by Anne. The natives gasp. They stare at her. She looks around nervously, golden hair swirling in the sunlight. Natives resume their chant.
Yeah,
Oh.
you can say that.
Okay,
Come.
con. Except this time it's directed at Anne. Anne, Kurt, and Peak quickly steer Denim, Eaglehorn, Herb, and Sailor 2 back through the ruined city towards the beach. They have to herd them like sheep. Denim is staring at his fingers like someone who has never seen a hand before. Inglehorn is giggling at some private joke. A native starts rising. Jack fires into the air and they back away in mass. Peak puts his hands over his ears as over 100 natives suddenly emit a strange piercing screech like a pack of frightened monkeys.
Go, 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 go.
And pushes Denim, drags Inglehorn by the hand. Kurt has lifted Herb over his shoulder. It is external ruined city jungle day. The group hurrying through the last of the ruins, nearing the beach. Natives are following them, stealthily slipping behind ruins and undergrowth. All eyes on Anne. Jack is covering their retreat, occasionally shooting over the natives' heads if they get too close. Peak is roughly shoving Sailor 2 along. He suddenly stoops down, snatching up Denim's discarded rifle. He spins around and starts shooting straight at the natives.
Get back, you bastards! Back!
The natives suddenly frenzy at the sight of their comrades falling dead. They charge.
Run!
External beach day. Anne races across the sand, pushing Denim and Inglehorn. Kurt staggers towards the boat, carrying Herb. He spins around, firing his rifle one-handed. Jack is firing. Peak runs past, heading for the boat. Having abandoned Sailor 2 to his fate, he falls under a sea of native clubs and spears. Kurt reaches the boat, dumping Herb on top of Peak. He pulls Anne, Denim, and Inglehorn in as the natives flood across the beach. Jack pushes off the clambers into the boat. They rapidly head out to sea, leaving the natives screaming on the beach. Cut to internal Denim cabin's venture night. Denim is slumped across the table, holding his head, eyes bloodshot. Sylvia hands in a drop from his chin. Oh, Sylvia. It's the hangover from hell. Kurt is fussing around. He offers Denim a glass of liver salts. The cabin door swings open and Inglehorn stands there, supporting himself in the doorway. He looks worse than Denim, mainly due to the ring piercing his horse. The whole area has come up in a nasty bruise. It is now night. Clearly, several hours have passed since their return to the ship.
They're stoking the boilers. As soon as we got some steam, we're out of here.
We never should have come. I pay you good money, only to have my life endangered. You'll be hearing from my lawyer.
Inglehorn gives Denim a parting scowl and staggers away. External venture deck's night. Inglehorn lurches down the deck.
Prepare the ship for sailing.
Jack is leaning against the rail, looking at Skull Island, and hurries over.
Jack,
We're leaving.
but we can't, Jack. I need time to collect artifacts, make sketches, gather evidential information.
Anne, your father is dead. You have nothing to prove anymore.
Anne's hand tightens on something in her pocket. Jack frowns and gently pulls her hand out. She's clutching the small conned figure.
Oh, Jesus, you took it.
Jack, this is the archaeological find of the century.
This shit is bad luck. Don't you understand? You treat it like a game. 2 men have already died.
Jack grabs the figure.
Give it back.
Figurine.
I'm not sailing with this thing on board.
No, don't.
Jack throws it overboard.
You bastard.
Anne tries to strike Jack. He grabs her wrists.
Don't blame me if something bad happens, because I ain't going to be around to save you.
Anne pulls away.
Save me? Is that what you think your role in life is? You've been out of circulation far too long. Things have moved on since Tarzan and Jane. You poor, puffed little peacock of a man. You're pathetic.
Storms off. Jack looks hurt. Internal Anne's cabin, night. A POV from Anne's porthole. The peninsula on Skull Island is aglow with an orange light. Drums and chanting can be heard. Pulled back into Anne's cabin. She is sitting on the bed, hugging her knees, looking at the island. The Ventures and engines start humming, drowning out sounds from the natives. Anne looks thoughtful. External venture deck, night. Anne steps into the deck, hugging the coat around her shoulders. She looks around. The tarpaulin on Jack's lifeboat moves. Anne approaches it.
Jack, about those things I said, I didn't mean it. Jack, I'm sorry.
Weigh the anchor!
Low angle from inside lifeboat, looking up at Anne. She sighs, leans against the boat. Suddenly, the 2 natives rise behind Anne. They grab her, clamping a hand over her mouth. While there's several natives are silently creeping over the Venture, they lift Anne over the side. She struggles helplessly as they pass her down into a native dugout. Without a sound, the natives slip back into their canoes and paddle away towards Skull Island. Jack is running along the deck, having just caught a glimpse of the canoes before they vanished into the gloom. The Venture's engines wind up and she starts moving away toward the fog bank. Internal, Denham's cabin, night. Jack burst into Denham's cabin.
They've taken Anne.
Denham grunts and reaches for his clothes. External venture deck, night. Jack runs along the ship, yelling at the wheelhouse.
Stop the ship.
Eaglehorn emerges from the wheelhouse.
Anne's been taken.
Denham strides down the deck.
All hands on deck! I want volunteers!
Sailors flood out of the doorways. Cut to Eternal Venture Armory, night. Denham is in the bowels of the ship. He is unlocking a heavy, padlocked door while about Jack and 20 sailors crowd in behind him.
A man's got to have a little insurance in a job like mine.
Denham throws the door open. 25 brand new Thompson submachine guns are neatly lined up in racks, complete with 70-round drum magazines. The Tommy gun is the Chicago gangster's weapon of choice. Denham swings around, clipping a drum into his Tommy gun, a fat cigar in his mouth.
Carl Denham Productions has just declared war on Skull Island.
Cut to. External Native City night. Close on Anne. She is being prepared for sacrifice. Natives are holding her arms. A bridal headdress is placed on her head, covering her hair. She is in the middle of the crowded square, lit by flaming torches. She closes her eyes, strangely subdued. The witch doctor dances in front of her, flickering oils from a small pot over her body. Anne suddenly lashes out. She kicks the witch doctor in the nuts, simultaneously pulling her hands free and running through the crowd towards the beach. She only gets 5 paces and is tackled and roughly hoisted onto the altar. Her hands are tied secretly to ordinarily carved pillars. Tears flood into her eyes. Khan! 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 The chant begins. Natives start turning a huge wheel, and the altar starts to climb the slope towards the top of the wall, moving on tracks like a primitive cable car. Close on native faces, screaming and chanting, building up to a frenzy. They climb the vault behind Anne, carrying flaming torches. Native sounds fade away. Beautiful, sad music drifts in, giving the sequence an ethereal atmosphere. External wall, jungle night. Anne is weeping as the altar reaches the top of the wall. For the first time, you get a glimpse of the other side. The wall falls away vertically into a rocky grotto that leads into the dense, tangled jungle of an island. The altar stops on top of the wall. Over 100 natives arrive just behind Anne and spread out along the parapet. 2 natives in ceremonial costume kneel beside the altar, quickly and expertly adjusting bolts and levers. They single back down to the square and gasps as the altar suddenly lurches out over the edge of the wall. It is being slowly swung out over the grotto by a pair of cantilevered arms hinged at the base of the wall. Close on native torches light pools of oil contained in cavities at the top of the wall. Small dams are released, allowing the flaming oil to flow down chuts and channels, cleverly cut into the cliffs on either side of the grotto. The flaming oil ignites larger pools in huge, hollowed-out chambers within the cliffs, carved into the shape of skulls. The skulls burst into glowing life, just like 40-foot-high Halloween pumpkins. Wide-shot, Anne looks tiny on top of the altar, which has almost reached the ground. The enormous growling skulls illuminate her, the wall towering up behind her. Natives line the top of the wall, holding fiery torches. The altar settles into neatly carved recesses. The huge gong starts tolling. Anne is facing the inky black jungle. She is panting hard, trying to face her death with as much composure as she can muster. A loud splintering sound comes from within the jungle. Something very big is moving towards the grotto. Natives chant, Khan, 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 and as instinctively pulls her bonds. To no avail. She can now see a dark shape approaching her. Oily smoke from the fires drift across, obscuring her vision. She could now only hear the footsteps. It is a huge creature, breathing heavily. It stops in front of her, smoke still blocking her vision. She looks down. A giant leathery foot is visible. She looks up to the murk. Tears roll down her cheeks. The native suddenly goes silent. Calm! A 25-foot silverback gorilla. His fur is matted. Ancient scars mark his body, evidence of life and death. Struggles with unknown beast. His face is aged. Silver hair predominant. He is resting on his knuckles. Khan raises his hands on his hind legs and beats his chest and screams. All the natives launch into their piercing monkey screech. It whines. King Khan up. He leans down, roaring only inches from Anne's face, then suddenly starts pacing furiously from side to side like a caged animal. He roars at the natives and the top of the wall. Khan suddenly charges at the wooden gate. He crashes against it, causing the entire wall to shudder violently. A native loses his balance and topples off. He thuds into the ground at Khan's feet. Khan quickly scoops him up and bites his head off in a PG-13 kind of way. The natives roar like spectators in a gladiator arena. Khan leans over Anne. The strength suddenly drains out of her legs, and she slumps between the pillars. Khan reaches forward with an almost delicate touch. He lifts her in his hand. She screams as she rises into the air towards his mouth. He roars at her and turns abruptly back to the jungle. The natives chant, Khan! Khan!
Khan! Khan!
Suddenly, bam! 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 Natives topple in a burst of gunfire. External. Native City night. Jack is leading the charge into the ruined city. 40 guys, most armed with Tommy guns, are blazing in all directions. The natives flee in the mad panic as Jack runs straight for the gate. He rushes up to a small, observant grill. Jack's POV Khan disappearing into the jungle, clutching Anne. She is screaming and kicking. Jack turns back to the sailors.
Anne's alive, quick! She's alive, quick!
Jack backs away from the wall and starts firing his Tommy gun at the bolts securing the wooden gate. Other sailors join in, splintering the timbers in a haul of lead. 40 sailors push the huge gate, and it slowly opens, exposing the jungle beyond. Denham runs up, sweating and ranting.
Did you see her?
Yeah, sir, she was carried in the jungle by an animal.
What was it, Jack?
Jack hesitates.
An ape. Some kind of ape.
Denham sighs with relief. He turns to the sailors.
Did you hear that, boys? We're looking for a monkey. Englehorn, stay here with 20 men. Keep the natives at bay. The rest of you, follow me. Herb, cut. Was that great or what?
Herb has
Great.
been filming Denim.
It's great, Mr. Denham. Great.
Jack grabs Denham's arm.
Listen, buddy, cut the crap. We're looking for Anne. We're not making a goddamn movie.
Jack, you get to save the girl, and I get my third act. It's going to be good for you and good for me.
You better not slow us down, Denham.
Jack hurries through the gates towards the jungle, followed by Denham, Peak, Herb, Kurt, and 20 sailors.
All right, boys, single file. Never lose sight of the man in front.
Cut to external Skull Island jungle night. Beyond the Great Wall, Skull Island is like no place you've ever seen before. The volcanic rocks from a jagged, tortured landscape of deep accesses and towering cliffs. The vegetation is thick, the jungle dark. Ancient gnarled trees twist out of the ground, thick lichen and long moss hang from branches and tangled vines. Steam rises from the festering swamps. Pass deeper into the island, the steam is volcanic, hissing out of the fissurious and bubbling mud pools. The way light and contrast plays on the landscape is reminiscent of the etchings of the 19th century artist Gustave Doré. It is into this Jurassic Park from hell that Jack leads Denham and the party of 20 sailors. Herb is limping along with the heavy camera and tripod on his shoulder. Denham suddenly loses his footing and sprawls onto the ground. His eyes widen at the sight of the deep calm footprint he has just stepped in.
Holy shit! Look at the size of that.
That's your monkey, Denham.
Denham's eyes. Oh shit! Denham's eyes meet Jack's. He is scared. So are the sailors. Everyone suddenly has their fingers on the trigger, eyes nervously scanning the thick jungle. A noise, crackling branches, heavy footsteps. The sailors panic. They start firing in all directions. The flashes from Tommy guns and rifles blinding in the darkness.
Hey, stop it. Cut it out.
Silence. Smoke drifts away from the guns as the group listens for sounds. Like a pair of mighty trees being felled, the two dead prehistoric creatures, 30 foot tall, Lamosaurus, suddenly topple out of the gloomy foliage and thud to the ground in front of the startled sailors. They warily approach the dead dinosaurs.
Hey, I thought these things were supposed to be extinct.
They are now.
Jack and the sailors look in awe at the bodies of the huge beasts. Jack pulls a leafy branch out of the Lamosaurus' mouth.
They were just tasting the berries.
Ha ha ha. Yeah. Well, I gave him a taste of American lead, and I don't see him coming back for seconds.
Cut to external natural amphitheater night. Khan climbs down into a rocky hollow. A vine-strewn natural amphitheater. He drops Anne to the ground and stands over her, poised on his knuckles. Anne looks up at Kong. She doesn't move. He leans over her and roars, and suddenly scrambles to her feet and runs. Within seconds, Kong has overtaken her and blocked her path. Anne turns and runs in the other direction. Again, Kong blocks her path. It is clear that he is playing cat and mouse. Anne trips on something and falls over. A human rib cage juts out of the muddy ground and sobs as she sees all around human bones, some still encased in the remnants of bridal dress and headwear. This place is Khan's killing ground. Khan scoops Anne up, lifts her towards the mouth. She screams and struggles in his grip. His mouth opens and she kicks and beats his fingers in a seemingly hopeless attempt to fight for her life. Suddenly, the native headdress falls off. Her long blonde hair falls onto her shoulders. Khan suddenly pauses and is frozen. She is looking into Khan's eyes, trying to anticipate his next move. Scarcely audible.
Lullaby and good night. Sleep tight.
Khan touches her hair as if mesmerized.
Pleasant dreams until dawn.
Khan's lips peel back, exposing huge teeth and pink gums. Khan suddenly pulls Anne's protectively to his breast, roars fiercely, and disappears into the dark jungle. Cut to external Skull Island vista. Dawn. The sun rises over the rocky crags of Skull Mountain. External. Pinnacle Valley morning. Close on Khan's footprint. In a sandy, dried up stream bed, Jack looks up at the direction Khan has taken. The tracks head toward a sheer cliff on the side of a narrow, dry valley, an area deep in the heart of Skull Island, dominated by spectacular pinnacles of stone, jutting out of the ground like giant fingers. The valley is less than 75 feet wide, flanked by sheer, seemingly unscalable cliffs. Jack wipes the sweat from his brow, looking for a possible route up the cliff. Further down the valley, Denham and the sailors are grouped around the camera. Close on, an Exor is being pelted with stones. Herb is filming, whilst Denham and the sailors try to coax some action out of the slow-witted, cow-sized dinosaur. It staggers around in confusion.
People will think it's just a goddamn guy in a suit.
Denham suddenly gets an idea.
Hey, I got a great idea. We could turn this place into an amusement park, sort of like Coney Island, but with dinosaurs. It's a gold mine. I'll cut you boys in for 20%. We're going to be rich.
The sailors cheer.
Yay!
Hey.
Jack is yelling from the valley, waving for the group to join him.
All right, this way, come on.
Frowns at Jack.
Let's keep this between ourselves. Assholes are not included.
sailors laugh. At that moment, the ground trembles. The sailors look around, alarmed. Jack almost loses his footing as the ground under him literally bounces. He looks up at the winding valley. A dust cloud suddenly spills out from around the next corner, immediately followed by the breathtaking sight of a herd of 12 brontosaurs running in a wild panic down the narrow valley. A pack of 15 carnosaurs, a 9-foot tall metasaurs are perusing them. Spectacular tracking shot with the stampedes. A Carnosaurus leaps onto the back of the fleeting brontosaur, causing it to falter and slide against the cliff. 2 more Carnosaurs leap onto the alien brontosaur as the rest of the pack stream past. Jack turns and starts running. The stampeding dinosaurs are stretched across the valley behind him, less than 50 yards away from the and closing. Jack runs down the rocky slope toward Denham and the sailors, who seem to be frozen in fear.
Run, damn it, run!
Everyone turns and flees. Guns and equipment are abandoned. Herb hoists the tripod and camera on his shoulder and limps after the others. Jack is running as fast as he can. He glances over his shoulder. The walt of thundering brontosaur legs are about to engulf him. Jack changes direction slightly to make sure he is in between dinosaurs. They overtake Jack, and he suddenly finds himself in a sea of legs like wildly pounding redwood trees. The connoisseurs are snapping and snarling at the legs. They see Jack. His only hope of survival is to stay within the stampede, out of reach and out of the meters. Peak is running faster than the others. He is way ahead, still clutching his Tommy gun as the stampede engulfs Denham and the other sailors. Quick images, 20 sailors in the sea of legs. A sailor trips and is crushed underfoot. A couple of sailors lump clear of the brontosaurs, only to be set on the connoisseurs. Denham, Herb, sailors, everyone is running madly, dodging brontosaurs, carnivores, and trying not to trip. A connoisseur focuses on Jack. It skillfully weaves in between and under brontosaurs and emerges right behind Jack. Its snapping jaws inches away from his head. Jack suddenly sidesteps, bringing the connoisseur right alongside. He shoulder barges it sideways under a brontosaur's legs. The connoisseur is instantly trampled. Heek is managing to stay ahead of the stampede, possibly running faster than any human before him. A connoisseur races out in front of the stampede and bears down on Peak with incredible speed. Peak desperately waves the Tommy gun back towards the connoisseur, towards the stampede. Jack sees it coming.
Hey, no, no, no!
Peak fires, missing the connoisseur, but he hits the lead brontosaur in the chest. The brontosaur collapses at full speed. It cartwheels over its huge neck and tail, thrashing out. The other brontosaurs plow into it, ripping and rolling. Jack, Denham, and the sailors suddenly find themselves in the middle of an amazing fleshy freight train pile. Sailors are crushed as brontosaurs come down on top of them. A connoisseur has squashed when two brontosaurs slam together. Jack throws himself onto the ground, rolling against a rock as mountains of brontosaur tumble all around him. The space of seconds, wounded animals, the space of seconds, the mighty herd of Beth moths is reduced to a vast pile of dead or wounded animals. The connoisseurs immediately go to work, leaping onto brontosaurs, ripping into fleshy stomachs. Amazingly, Jack, Denham, Herb, and at least 9 sailors have survived. However, they must now escape from the blood-crazed meat eaters. Jack crawls past huge, heavy bellies and twitching legs. He looks around for some escape route. He spots Peak, desperately scrabbling up a steep, rocky slope. It leads to a narrow fissure in the cliff, a possible way out. Jack staggers out of the dinosaur pile. He turns back at the sound of loud hissing. A connoisseur is climbing over a dead brontosaur, intent on Jack. He can do nothing. The connoisseur leaps. Bam! 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 The connoisseur is suddenly riddled with bullets and falls dead at Jack's feet. Kurt hurries toward Jack, clutching his Tommy gun.
I'll keep those bastards at bay!
Jack nods. He waves at surviving sailors that are emerging from the pileup.
All right, this way.
Surviving sailors scramble past Jack and head up the steep slope. Denham puffs his way past, not looking at Jack, totally focused on personal survival. By some miracle, Herb limps out of the pileup, covered in dust, but still carrying the camera and tripod on his shoulders. Kurt blasts at a connoisseur. It topples backwards. He turns to Jack.
Go, Jack! Go! Go, Jack!
Jack heads up the slope. Kurt backs away. 2 connoisseurs suddenly charge at him. He fires the Tommy gun, shredding them with bullets, but cannot reach the fast enough when a third attacks from the other direction. Kurt screams briefly as he falls to the ground under clawing feet and snapping jaws. The 4 surviving connoisseurs head up the slope.
All right, hurry!
Jack and the others are desperately scrambling up the steep shale slope. Loose stones that are impossible to get a grip on. Sailors start sliding backwards in their panic. The connoisseurs are sliding too, but their powerful legs are working furiously, propelling them closer and closer to the flailing sailors. A sailor loses his footing completely. He rolls past 2 connoisseurs before being grabbed by the jaws of the third. The sailors grab hold of weeds, rocks, anything to get away from the dinosaurs. They move into a network of narrow fissures between pinnacles the connoisseurs can barely squeeze through. One sailor is trying to escape up a sheer rock face. He slips and falls back into the connoisseur's clutches. The sailors reach safely. A narrow fissure, too small for the connoisseurs, leads into steamy jungle beyond the valley. Jack looks back. Herb is struggling. A connoisseur snapping at his heels. Jack climbs back down the slope to help pull him up. The connoisseur lunges at Herb, grabbing his foot in its jaws. Herb screams and rolls over on his back, the camera on his chest. The connoisseur is crushing his ankle between its teeth. Luckily, it's Herb's artificial leg. Denim looks at the frantic struggle.
Roll camera!
Herb flicks the switch, aiming connoisseur's head only inches away. The camera is at. Another connoisseur is scrambling up behind the first. Jack rushes forward, scooping up a large boulder. He smashes it down on the connoisseur's head. It releases Herb's foot and rolls away down the slope, collecting its buddy on the way. Jack and another couple of sailors grab Herb and the camera gear and scramble to safety through the fissure, external edge of the swamp. Day. Jack, Denim, Peak, Herb, and the 7 surviving sailors are a bedraggled group, cut, bruised, covered in dust, soaked in sweat. Peak has the only Tommy gun left between them. They collapse into a narrow clearing on the edge of misty swamp-like lake. Cliffs rise out of the swamp on both sides. The only way forward is across. Dead trees jut out of the water. Some have fallen onto the shore. Jack is still driven with urgency.
All right, look, let's strap these trees together. Build rafts. Hurry.
Hurry, the sailors set to work. Denim is slumped on the ground. Peak approaches him.
Mr. Denham, I have some concerns about personal safety. I'm really starting to feel that this particular assignment is not for me, okay?
Denim looks up at Peak. His eyes are glazed. There is a real danger that Denim is starting to lose it.
You walk out on a Carl Denham picture. You walk out of a career. You'll have no money to feed your wife and family.
I don't have any kids.
Denim grabs Peak by the collar and pulls him close.
And I will personally guarantee it stays that way.
Cut to external swamp day. 2 makeshift rafts drift silently across the surface of the swampy lake. Herb, Peak, and sailors are in the first. Jack, Denim, and 3 sailors are in the second. Jack is punting his raft using a long branch. The swamp is creepy. Dead, twisted trees stick out of the surface. A thin film of fog hangs in the air. Small flying lizard-type things flit about from tree to tree. The first raft reaches the shore, a narrow sandy beach leading into gloomy, dense jungle. Jack and Denham's raft is still 20 yards offshore.
Set up the camera, boys. Get a shot of me coming ashore.
Oh, forget it, Denim, for God's sakes.
Denham suddenly stands up, causing the unstable raft to rock in the water. The pole, the Driscoll seems to be on the verge of a breakdown. He steps toward Jack, nearly tipping the raft over. Jack throws the pole at him and tries to balance himself.
Roll camera! I said roll camera! I want this on film.
Denham thrusts the pole into the swamp and pushes. The raft spins around. Jack and the sailors cling on as it rocks violently. Denham pushes on the pole again and again. Growing more frantic, he starts hyperventilating. Jack sees a row of bubbles moving rapidly toward the raft.
Denim!
Ingle looking down on the raft. 3 huge shapes glide in the murk below the surface of the swamp. They rise beneath the raft, tipping it over. External, beneath water, day. The swamp is about 8 feet deep. Jack, Denham, and the 3 sailors fall straight to the bottom as if it weighted stringly 5-foot weeds rise from the bottom like tentacles. Jack looks around. The water is dark and murky. The sailors are trying to kick back up to the surface. With no luck, for some reason, this water has 0 buoyancy. Suddenly, a terrifying creature emerges from the gloom. It is some kind of prehistoric axolotl type thing with wide teeth. It has about 25 feet long, the size of a huge white shark. With a frightening grace, the axolotl sweeps a sailor up in its jaws. 2 more giant axolotls glide out of the gloom. Another sailor tries to run, but it is taken by the second axolotl. The third axolotl comes straight to Jack. He throws himself down and the creature glides over the top of him. Jack gets back on his feet. He does the only thing he can to escape, run for the shore along the swamp bed. Plushes through the thick forest of weed, his cheeks bulging as he struggles to retain his air. Suddenly, something grabs his ankle. Jack looks down on Denham. He is desperately clinging onto Jack's foot. An axolotl suddenly sweeps by, causing Jack to duck. He grabs Denham's arm and starts dragging him through the weeds. External swamp beach day. Jack and Denham stagger onto the beach. Sailors pull them. Sailors pull the other sailor's survivor from the clear out of the water. The raft crawls onto the beach too. Herb has his tripod set up and is filming it all. Jack is grasping for air. Denham lies moaning. An axolotl rockets out of the water. These things have legs, and it scuttles towards the group with incredible speed. Within seconds, it has grabbed the sailor survivor in its jaws and disappears back into the swamp. Another axolotl charges out of the swamp. It comes straight at Herb, who has no choice but to abandon his camera and quickly back away. The axolotl lunges at the camera and tripod, swallowing it with one gulp. Bam! 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 Pete blasts the axolotl with his Tommy gun. It slumps to the ground dead, its mouth hanging open. There is a stone silence as Denham lurches to his feet. He glares at Herb.
Jesus, Herbert, how could you be so careless? Do you know how much those things cost?
Tears well in Herb's eyes. The man is deeply hurt by this criticism.
I'll be pleased to cash in my life insurance, Mr. Denham. Buy you a new camera, sir.
I don't want a new camera. Herb, I want you to crawl in the fish and recover my equipment.
Right you are, Mr. Denham.
Herb removes his jacket and cap. He takes his glasses off and puts them in his pocket. He crawls into the mouth of the axolotl. Denham holds his feet and pushes him down the creature's throat.
Just a bit further, Mr. Denham. I can see the panhandle.
Denham pushes him further in. Only his knees are sticking out of the axolotl's mouth. The creature's torso is bulging grotesquely as Herb wrestles to free the camera.
Okay, all right, pull us out. Hard now. The magazine is stuck in the pancreas.
At that moment, the axolotl's jaws clamped shut. It was only stunned. A muffled scream emits from deep inside the creature as it rears up.
Shit!
The axolotl pulls away and vanishes into the water. Denham turns back to the shocked group. He is holding Herb's artificial leg.
I'm gonna dedicate this movie to Herb Cooper, the world's greatest cameraman.
He thrusts the leg at a sailor.
Make sure this gets back to his wife and kids.
The sailor nods.
I'm calling a wrap. We're heading back to the ship.
Hold on. What?
The girl's dead, Driscoll. There's no point in continuing on.
Drac addresses the sailors.
Hey, who's with me?
Nobody steps forward.
You're mad, Driscoll.
It's hopeless.
It's hopeless.
Come on, fellas. Come on.
Oh, in it for you. Is she that good in bed?
Jesus Christ.
Jack punches Peak to the ground. He has one last scornful look at Denham and the sailors, then turn heads into the jungle alone.
Dinosaur Munchie traveling.
The sailors chuckle. External, jungle glade, day. A pack of otters are feasting on a dinosaur carcass, intent on stripping every last piece of flesh off the bones. A raptor suddenly looks up, alarmed by a noise. Whack! Khan's fist smashes down on his head, knocking him out. The other raptors turn to flee. Whack! Khan's foot stomps down on another. He grabs another by the head, snapping its neck with a quick flick. The surviving raptors scurry into the jungle. Khan sits down, placing Anne on the ground. She looks and is frightened and exhausted. Khan starts eating the dead raptors like someone with a KFC craving. External log sham day. Wide shot Khan hungrily eating in the distance and is visible at his feet. Jack crawls into the FG. He peers out from behind a bush. Colin is about 150 feet away. On the other side of a narrow sham, a huge tree has fallen across the sham, creating a log bridge. Jack hurries towards the log, carefully staying low and ducking from bush to bush. The sham is deep, maybe 100 feet to the bottom, a vine-entangled morass. Jack carefully starts to cross the log bridge. It is covered in wet moss and quite slippery. He is totally vulnerable. He watches Khan carefully, but the gorilla is seemingly focused on his raptor finger food. Jack is over halfway across when Khan casually glances in his direction. Jack throws himself forward on the log, trying to stay out of sight, and behind a bulky lichen-covered lichen-covered stump. He carefully sneaks a look at Con, who is still peering over towards the log. External swamp beach, day. D, Peak, and the last 4 sailors are still on the swamp beach, gathering what remains of their equipment together. They turn in unison as a triatops lumbers toward them along the beach. These are 30-foot long rhino-like dinosaurs. Denham and the sailor step back warily as the triatops slowly wanders past them, not paying them any attention. Close on, the triatops innocently steps on Peak's tape recorder, instantly crushing it. Bam! 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 The triatops fast dead. Peaks advances toward his Tommy gun, smoking, a look of disbelief on his face as he looks at the mangled remains of his beloved equipment.
That cost me $75.
Peak kicks the dead triatops. And anguished below, whip pan onto 3 more triatops, including a large bull roaring with grief. Denham and the sailors reach with the horror as the triatops charge. They move with surprising speed. Huge horns I lowered for the kill. Bam! 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 Peak fires, but the bullets ricochet off the bony frill that surrounds the triatop's head. The ground turns and flees into the jungle. External jungle glade, day. Con reacts to the sound of a gunfire and men yelling. Con snarls. He scoops and up and places her high on the branches of a dead tree, some 30 foot off the ground. Con bounds away towards the sham. External log sham day. Jack is still clinging to the log. He turns at the sounds of the approaching sailors. Peak rushes out of the jungle first, followed by Denham, the sailors, and 3 angry triatops. A sailor trips and is immediately engorged by a triatops horn. Peak races onto the log in a blind panic, followed by the 3 surviving sailors and Denham. Peak only just realizes Jack is in his way and almost collides with him. Peak looks up suddenly and screams. Whip onto Kong, standing at the end of the log bridge, towering above Peak. He beats his chest, roaring fiercely. The sailors are trapped on the log bridge between the enraged triatops on one side and enraged Khan on the other. Khan reaches down and lifts his end of the log bridge. Jack, Denham, and the 3 sailors cling on for dear life. Peak desperately leaps from the log and clings onto Vanes hanging over the cliff on Khan's side of the sham. Khan vigorously twists and shakes the log, bucking the men into the air. Jack manages to hang onto the stump, but behind him, sailors are falling off. Bottom of the sham, sailors plummet to the bottom. One sailor crunches onto rocks, but the other 2 have their falls broken by a thick network of vines and appear to land relatively unhurt. Jack and Denham cling on. Khan roars with the frustration and hurls the end of the log into the sham. Denim, who is close to the far side, manages to leap to the bank, but Jack rides the log down. Crash! The log smashes into the rocks and Jack flies off of it. He bounces off vines and lands on the ground stunned. A sailor is crawling along the ground with a sprained ankle. Suddenly, a round dirt lid, larger than a manhole cover, pops open and a huge door spider darts out. It grabs the sailor and drags him screaming into the lair. The lid neatly closes again. Jack scrambles to his feet. All around, monstrosities of nature emerge from dank burrows and crawl toward him and the last surviving sailor. These are huge insective things. Combination of spiders, crabs, mantides, and centipedes. Jack snatches up a long stick and uses it like a spear to fend these creatures off. He looks on helplessly as the sailor attempts to climb the out of the sham, but slips into the pinchers of some crab spider thing. A group of spiders with 7-foot leg spans close in on Jack. Behind them hangs a long vine leading directly up to the top of the sham. Jack charges at the spiders, leaping as high as he can. He lands on the back of the first spider, and using the bounce, he propels himself onto the back of the next and the next, like a series of mini tramps. He suddenly leaps off the last and grabs onto the vine, pulling himself away from the frenzied spiders. Jack is climbing, hand over hand. Suddenly, he starts rising fast. Khan is perching on the edge of the sham, pulling the vine up like a fisherman reeling in a catch. Jack is helpless. Exterior jungle glade day. Anne looks around Fury from her perch. High in the branches of the rotten tree, she has heard the screams, but has seen nothing. A huge shape moves behind her and freezes at the sight of an allosaur. Entering the clearing, this is a 25-foot tall meters Skull Island's most fearsome predator. The allosaur snatches a dead raptor off the ground and crunches it in powerful jaws. It pauses, as if sniffing. Allosaur's head is only a few feet below Anne. She is too scared to breathe. The allosaur suddenly looks up, straight at Anne. He immediately circles the tree in big, powerful strides and shifts her position to keep the allosaur in sight. It is clearly getting very agitated. With an almost delicate movement, the allosaur nudges the trunk with its head. The tree lurches dramatically and hangs on desperately. The allosaur pushes her, sending the tree toppling to the ground, and rolls away from the tree, jumps to her feet and runs. She races to the jungle, dodging trees, leaping over fallen logs, smashing through bushes, the allosaur pounding after her. She is its breath rasping, footsteps thumping, the huge jaws open. only inches from Anne's head. She screams. External log. Sesame day. Colin has almost reeled Jack in when he hears Anne scream. He immediately drops the vine, sending Jack plummeting back down the chasm. Fortunately, the coils of loose vine at the top of the sham tangle, stopping Jack with a jerk about halfway down. Colin rushes off toward the sounds of Anne's screams. External dense jungle day. Anne is stumbling. The allosaur positions its head from the final lunge. Jaw opens. From out of the dense jungle, Colin charges. He meets Anne and the allosaur head on at full speed. Colin swings at his first, smashing into the allosaur's head. Anne has to throw herself against a tree as the dinosaur sprawls onto the ground beside her. In a flash, Colin is on top of the allosaur, pounding his fist down. The allosaur lies still. Anne's legs turn to jelly as she collapses. Colin is clearly startled. He gently takes her in his hand. At that moment, the second allosaur attacks. He comes charging into shot, grabbing Colin's arm in his jaws. Colin roars, ripping free just as the third allosaur strides into the clearing. The first allosaur scrambles back to its feet. Colin holds Anne protectively as he braces himself from the fight of his life. The three allosaurs circle around him. They attack Colin and Anne. What follows is a breathtaking fight to the death. Colin fights like a madman. Not only does he have to battle with the allosaur, he is also protecting Anne, constantly transferring her from one hand to the other as the allosaur snap at her throughout. Colin punches and smashes with his fists, but he also uses wrestling-style headlocks and flips. For a brief moment, Anne rolls free on the ground and has to dodge 25-foot dinosaurs and the gorge as the frenzied fight thunders all around her. The first allosaur is taken out of the when Colin pulls a large jagged tree trunk out of the ground and rams it into allosaur's mouth, pushing it out of the back of its head. The second allosaur he kills by grabbing it in a headlock, flipping it over his shoulder, but reversing direction suddenly, breaking its back with a sinking crunch. And is suddenly grabbed by the last allosaur. She is taken in his jaws. It bites down just as Colin grabs his jaws in both hands. He rolls the allosaur onto its back, and still wedged in its mouth, the razor-sharp teeth dig into her as Colin desperately uses all his strength to force the allosaur's mouth open and slides out, racking her back against the teeth. Colin forces the jaws open until they rip apart at the hinge. The allosaur sprawls back dead. Colin is panting heavily. He has been bitten, racked, and cut. He puts his foot on the last allosaur and beats his chest triumphantly. And is hurt, bleeding. Colin carefully picks her up and hurries into the jungle. Exterior log sham day. Jack is clinging onto the vine, trying to pull himself onto the top of the sham. but his strength is weakening just below the edge. Peak leans over. He looks terrified, still gripping his Tommy gun.
Peak!
For a moment, you think Peak is actually considering the idea of kicking Jack back down into the sham. He reaches down and pulls Jack to safety.
Hey, Jack! Denim here.
Denham is on the other side of the sham, looking very jumpy.
Denim, go back to the wall. Tell them to give me 12 hours to get back with Anne.
I can't get back to the wall. I'll get eaten.
Jack suddenly snatches Peak's Tommy gun.
Hey, what will I do? What are you doing?
Jack hurls the Tommy gun across the sham.
Hey, they've got to keep that the gate open for me.
Denham clutches the Tommy gun as if holding a newborn baby.
12 hours, Driscoll. Good luck.
Jack heads into the jungle.
You're insane. He'll be killed.
Jack keeps going. Peak alone and runs after Jack, suddenly realizes he's external day mountain. Day. Anne's point of view, upside down, shot whipping through foliage with long, lopping strides. Anne is draped in Colin's hand. Draped. Anne is draped in Colin's hand as he powers through the jungle at high speed. She is weak, her eyes glazing, sweat dripping from her brow. Anne's point of view becomes more fevered. Colin climbs out of the jungle, scaling a nearly sheer cliff. He uses one hand to climb, the other holds Anne to his breast. As Colin climbs higher and higher, Anne drifts into unconsciousness, her last fevered point of view being that of the vertigo-inducing drop down the face of the cliff. External Colin's lair, evening. Fade up. Anne's fevered point of view, Colin facing anxiously. He leans down toward, roaring nervously. Behind him, the sky is bathed in an orange sunset. Wide calm is in his lair. A large round cave with a ledge that juts out high over Skull Island. In fact, his cave is one of the eyes of the skull, visible from the coast. Over the ledge of the dizzying drop of at least 1,000 feet down the jungle, the Venture can be seen moored off the tip of the island, some 3 miles away. Sinister bat-type creatures hover into the skies. These have 8-foot wingspans and tanneled feet. Their feet are more reptile than bat. Anne is lying on the bed of the straw in a clove on the ledge. One of the bat things swoops in. Anne fevered point of view. Large flapping bat wings fill her vision. Colin snatches the bat thing out of the sky and rips its wings off. He gently lifts Anne and retreats further into this cave. External wall, ruined city, night. Inglehorn puffs on his pipe. Sailors armed with rifles and Tommy guns are patrolling the wall. The area is effectively cornered off. Everyone is relaxed.
Down, that's you.
I give up. I have no idea where you are.
Hey, somebody's approaching.
Sailors rush to pull the great gates open. Denham staggers in and collapses. He is even more disheveled than when we saw him last. His clothing is torn. Blood sweeps from cuts he has lost from the gun. Englehorn gives him a drink from a canteen. Denham is gasping heavily.
Just take it easy. Where are the others?
They're dead.
Oh my God. Anne?
She's dead. Driscoll, too. We've got to get back to the ship.
Prepare to break camp, men. We're heading back to the Venture.
There is a sense of relief amongst the crew. Two sailors lift Denham up and support him between them. At that moment, a zipping sound fills the air. A volley of arrows, darts, and spears fly toward the sailors. Within seconds, 7 sailors fall dead, including the 2 supporting Denham. He runs with incredible speed and throws himself behind the wall. Englehorn and the 12 surviving sailors take shelter and fire wildly in all directions.
We gotta get out of here. And that's gonna be more difficult than you think.
Numerous heavily armed natives are fleetingly visible, darting behind ruins and trees, cutting the sailors off from the beach. External Khan's lair night. Anne's fevered point of view, surreal images of Khan statues, of flapping bat things, of allosaur jaws, of fiery carved faces, and finally of Khan's eyes started staring lovingly at her. Dissolved to external Khan's cave, early morning. Close on. Anne. She wakes up looking rested and calm. It is clear that her fever has passed. Wider. Anne is cradled in Khan's hand. He is lying on his side, asleep, holding Anne close to his face like a child would sleep with a teddy bear. Khan stirs, suddenly opening his mouth in a huge yawn. He opens his eyes, and for a few quiet moments, he and Anne stare at each other. Khan sits up, placing Anne on the ground. They are deeper into Khan's cave. Anne can see that the back of the cave leads to a way out as daylight streams in. A small but deep lake fills part of the cave, surrounded by smaller rock pools. Khan sits on his haunches, looking for all the world, like the king of his domain. A shadow flutters over Anne as a bat fiend makes an attempt to grab her. Khan reaches forward and snatches it out of the air. He bites the head off the bat fiend, rips off one of the legs, drops the bloody leg on the ground in front of Anne. Anne looks Anne looks aghast at the offering as Khan eats the rest of the bat thing with a certain amount of relish. She backs away from the meat. Khan leans forward and pushes it closer to her. Anne steps away and shakes her head.
No, thank you.
Khan shakes his head and pushes the meat closer. Anne holds her nose at the face. Khan puts a finger up to his nose and pulls a face. He pushes the meat closer. Anne takes a big step backwards and trips over a rock. Khan alarmed for a moment.
I'm okay. See?
Anne stands with great dramatics, she deliberately falls over. Colin gets excited. He slumps backwards against the wall and stands up with a sequel. She throws herself forward into a forward roll. Colin is highly excited. He rolls forward on his side. Anne laughs at him. She does a cartwheel. Colin paces from side to side like an overexcited kid. He suddenly turns and disappears out of the back entrance of the cave. Anne is a little nervous. She clutches her shoulders against a cold rush of morning breeze. She hears a fluttering of bat thing wings. Colin hurries back into the cave. He's holding a tiny object between his thumb and forefinger. With great delicacy, he drops a ripe mango at Anne's feet. Anne bites into it, suddenly realizing how hungry she actually is.
Good. More.
Colin acts coyly at this praise. He rushes out of the cave again, returning with an entire mango tree, which he drops at Anne's feet. Anne laughs and Colin rolls forward out onto the ledge. In the distance, we can see the venture and just hear the distant sound of sporadic gunfire from the native city. Colin sniffs the morning air. He frowns, suddenly gets agitated. Colin looks up. Over 20 bat things are massing on the cliffs above the lair, clearly preparing an attack to get Anne. Colin races into the cave just as another 20 bat things flutter in through the back entrance. He scoops Anne into his breast, roaring defiantly at them. Close on a narrow fissure into the volcanic rock towards the back of the cave, Jack and Peak are hidden from view of bat things from the view as the bat things above them. Peak looks around terrified. Jack spies on Colin and Anne. The bat things suddenly attack. They swoop on Colin and Anne like a swarm of giant bees. Colin roars on and thrashes out at them in a frenzy. With every sweep of his arm, several bat things are knocked to the ground. Colin keeps moving, twisting and turning to make it harder for them to get at Anne. She presses herself close to Colin's chest. Bat thing talons strike at her, slashing Colin's fingers instead. With the bat thing totally occupied, Jack takes his chance to get closer to Anne. He leaves the shelter of the fissure and hurries across the cave, ducking into the shadows on the far side. He crouches behind a rock, but is totally vulnerable. Several bat things are gripping and crawling Colin's back in an effort to weaken the huge ape. He suddenly pounds his back against the walls of the cave, squashing them all. The bat things wheel away from Colin, hissing angrily. 16 lie on the cave floor, stunned or dead. They flutter around, preparing their next attack. Colin swipes at bat things that get too close. Peak hears a noise. He turns and whimpers at the sight of a bat thing peering at him through a crack in the rock. The bat thing screeches, attracting others. They can't reach Peak, but that doesn't stop him dissolving into a frightened panic. Sweat spills down his face. He claws at the floor of the rock fissure, picks up a rock. Peak throws the rock across the cave towards Jack.
Get him!
The rock clatters at Jack's feet. Some bat things react to the noise. They swoop towards Jack. Jack runs across the cave. Talons reach for his head. Jack suddenly throws himself forward, diving into a deep rock pool. Underwater, Jack holds himself under the water as talons claw at the surface, a couple of feet above his head. The bat things are working themselves into a frenzy, diving at the rock pool, diving at Con and Anne. Peak is left alone. He sees his chance to escape, quietly climbing out of the fissure. Peak turns to flee out of the back entrance of the cave. He runs straight into the enormous jaws of an Elasimor, a larger sea serpent dinosaur with a long neck. The Elasimor has emerged from the lake, having crawled up onto the shore. It lifts Peak high into the air as his jaws crunch his torso. All the bat things instantly dive towards Peak in a frustrated blood frenzy. They rip into Peak and the Elastalor. Con snarls. He places Anne on the cave floor under an overhang and charges at the bat things. Con thunders past the rock pool just as Jack surfaces. Gasping for air, he scrambles out, racing towards Anne.
Jack!
Jack embraces Anne. There's not much time. Con is preoccupied swatting bat things at the back of the cave. Jack desperately looks around for an escape route. Nothing but 1,000-foot drop off the ledge into the jungle below. They are trapped. At that moment, a stunned bat thing beats its wings and lifts off the cavern floor. Jack runs, leaps, and grabs its feet.
Anne, grab my shoulders.
Anne hesitates. The bat thing flaps furiously, trying to lift Jack's weight off the ground. It drags Jack towards the ledge.
Come on, jump on.
Con sees Jack. He charges towards the ledge. Anne is torn. She looks at Jack. It looks at Con.
Anne!
Anne runs towards Jack and throws herself forward, hanging onto his waist. Jack knows just as Con reaches out for her. Jack hangs onto the taloned feet as he and Anne sail out of the place. The bat thing flapping madly above them, they descend rapidly, about twice the speed of a parachute, and buries her face into Jack's waist, not wanting to look back at Con, roaring with grief from the ledge. External River Day. The rat thing bobbles crazily in the sky, rapidly losing energy. Jack looks down. A fast-flowing river is 50 feet below. He releases his grip. Anne screams as she and Jack fall into the river. They are immediately picked up by the current and swept away. Jack grabs Anne under the arms and hangs onto her tightly. In the distance, an enraged Con is quickly descending from his mountain lair. Cut to external wall, native ruins day. A battle raging at the native city. Bodies are sworn around. Dozens of natives, sailors impaled, with spears and arrows. It's like a scene from the movie Zulu. A battle raging at the native city. Bodies are strewn around. Oh, a small group of survivors from the ship are holed up behind the stone blocks. At the top, Great Walt, Denham, Inglehorn, and 3 sailors are looking exhausted and defeated. Denham fires at a group of natives with a Tommy gun. It's empty.
That was the last of our ammo.
They're coming!
A point of view, 2 boatloads of reinforcements from the Venture are rowing toward the beach.
It's too late.
A massive tide of 300 natives are advancing toward the wall. Denham, Inglehorn, and the sailors reach for whatever weapons they can find. At that moment, the gates swing open. Jack and Anne come racing in. In his panic, Jack doesn't notice the battle Durpus. He pushes the gates closed, yelling for imagined help.
Barricade the gates, quick!
Jack.
Jack turns. Is confronted by the sight of 300 natives closing in around them. The natives have abandoned the attack. All eyes are on Anne. They murmur in awe. Con! 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 The witch doctor recites some complex initiation. Denham and Inglehorn stare in disbelief.
They think Anne's the demon.
Jack and Anne are backed right against the gates. The natives are pushing closer and closer to them. They raise their spears, ready to thrust them into Jack and Anne. Con roars. Jack hears his footsteps pounding towards the gates at high speed. Jack grabs Anne and pushes her along the wall, just clearing the gates as Con crashes through. The gates are smashed off their hinges. Story-tall gates, weighing 35 tons, land on the natives with a sound like someone stepping on eggshells. Con strides into the square, beating his chest and roaring.
Holy shit!
The surviving natives scatter. Con rampages after them, stomping on them and biting their heads off in a scene that not only gets a PG-13 but is praised by the MPAA for its sensitivity. Denham, Inglehorn, and the sailors take their chance to slip away towards the beach. Jack pulls Anne away from the gates, slipping behind the cover to avoid being seen by Con. They run through a giant carved head into the tunnel complex that leads to the beach. Jack snatches a native spear off the ground on the way. A few brave native warriors hurl spears at Con, but they either bounce off or only just penetrate the skin. Con picks up a large bronze Con statue and hurls it as a group of spear throwers perch atop stone building. Inside Mummy Chamber Day. Jack and Anne are racing through the mummy chamber when a statue smashes through the roof. Anne stumbles and rolls. Con roars as he's seeing her through the demolished roof. He reaches for her, sweeping mummies onto the floor with his groping hands. Jack pulls Anne further down the tunnels out of Con's reach. External Ruin City Day. Con heads towards the beach. his way suddenly blocked by 50 natives throwing spears and shooting arrows. They thud into his chest. He pulls them out, charging the natives in a fury. External beach day. The adventurers' reinforcements arrive on the beach. Lust as Denham, Inglehorn, and the three sailors come running out of the jungle behind them. Khan can be seen smashing his way toward the beach. Denham throws himself in on one of the boats.
Get out of here!
Jack and Anne race out of the tunnels and onto the beach. Just as Khan charges up behind them, they get halfway across the sand before Khan scoops Anne up triumphantly. He strides past Jack without hesitation. Jack throws the spear with all his might into the back of Khan's leg, just behind the knee. Khan roars in pain as his leg collapses, sending him sprawling onto the sand, still clutching Anne protectively. Denham leaps out of the boat, brandishing a new Tommy Khan, staying out of the reach. He aims at Khan's head, squeezing the trigger, and screams. Denham hesitates as if a sudden thought enters his head. He swings the aim onto Khan's knees and fires. Khan roars. He releases Anne onto the beach. Sailors leap out of the boats as Denham starts clumping Khan with a gun butt.
Don't kill him, boys. Knock him out cold. I want him alive.
The sailors attack Khan, clubbing him on the head with a gun butts and oars.
Stop! No, leave him alone.
Anne rushes towards the sailors. Jack grabs her, pulls her away.
Jack, stop them! No.
Khan's point of view, Anne being restrained by Jack, tears streaming down her face. Grotesque flashes of sailors' faces filled with the hate, clubbing distorted around, yelling. Clubbing sound fade except for Anne's voice.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
A film of water washes over Khan's point of view. Slow fade to black. Close on Denham. Lights a cigar. The sailors are surrounding the unconscious Khan on the beach.
Well done, boys. We came to shoot a motion picture, but we're taking back something far greater than any movie you could imagine. I can see it now, his name in lights. King Kong, the eighth wonder of the world.
Smash cut to external Broadway, New York night. King Kong, the eighth wonder of the world, in huge neon lights on the marquee of a large Broadway theater. The street is busy, with a large crowd flocking outside the theater. Taxis unloading people in tuxedos and evening dress. The glittery of New York have turned out for this one. Scalpers are selling tickets outside the door. Internal theater auditorium night. The audience are settling in their seats. Ushers working the aisles. It is a grand old theater with spectacular decor and a capacity of about 1,200. Tonight is a full house. An usher shows an elderly lady to her seat.
Oh, is this one of Mr. Denham's cute little animal pictures?
Oh, sure. This is not a motion picture, madam. It's more like a nature of a personal appearance.
A couple are sitting together. The husband has clearly come under duress. The husband checks his watch.
The Yankees, they'll be in the second inning. This better be worth it.
Internal Denham's office theater night. Two burly security guards deliver the box office takings and cash to Denham. He is dressed in a tux and looks much rested since his Skull Island adventures.
Thanks, fellas.
Denham loads the cash into his safe.
Hey, Denham.
Jack is standing in the office doorway, uncomfortable in his tux, looking very.
Hey, payment in advance. That was the deal.
Denham stuffs a wad of cash into an envelope.
$2,000, Jack. You'll be able to retire on that. Slips in the envelope. Oh, you'll be able to retire on that.
Slips the envelope into his top pocket.
Not me. I head out west, get into some redwood country.
How about Anne? She going with you?
Jack shakes his head.
Haven't seen her. Not since we got back.
She's got a little bit of an attitude, that girl. She's turned down a bunch of money. Too bad. Would have been a great angle. Beauty and the Beast. I must be getting old. I thought you two had something going on there.
Jack shrugs.
I don't need anybody tagging along with me.
Internal backstage night. Denham and Jack are walking through a busy backstage area. A press officer runs up toward Denham.
The press are clamoring to come backstage, Mr. Denham. Take some pictures of Kong.
Let them wait. They'll have their opportunity when the curtain goes up.
Denham pats Jack on the back.
Are you nervous, Jack?
Nah, let's get it over with.
Cut to internal theater auditorium night. The theater is packed. The audience hush as the lights dim. A giant curtain covers the stage, with just a single microphone to one side. Announcer.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Carl Denham.
Music strikes up and the crowd applauds as Denham strides onto the stage in the glare of the single spotlight. He steps up to a microphone.
Is this on? Ladies and gentlemen, if anyone here is of faint disposition or weak heart, I suggest you take this opportunity to leave the auditorium.
The crowd murmurs nervously, but of course, nobody leaves.
We all hear tales of an adventure we scarcely believe, but seeing is believing. And tonight you will see Kong, the living proof of our adventure, an adventure in which 36 of our party met terrible deaths. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to the man who felled the mighty beast, armed only with a native spear, Mr. Jack Driscoll.
Big applause as another spotlight finds Jack stepping onto the stage. His earlier bravado has vanished. He looks very nervous. He joins Denham at the microphone.
Well, Jack, what was it like to risk your life to save a beautiful woman?
Jack looks out over the sea of 1,200 faces. He hesitates. Denham's smile wavers as he realizes Jack has dried up with stage fright.
Did you fear for your life?
Yeah.
The audience chuckles.
It must have been terrifying.
Yeah.
The audience laugh. Denham puts his hand over the mic and whispers angrily at Jack.
Grant a word. Thanks for nothing, pal.
Denham turns back to the audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to see for yourselves one who was a king and a god of the world he knew, but now comes to civilization as a captive. An exhibit to gratify mankind's insatiable curiosity. Ladies and gentlemen, look upon Kong, the eighth wonder of the world.
With a dramatic flourish, Denim waves his arms at the curtain. It slowly rises as music strikes up. Khan is revealed. He sits slumped, head turned away from the audience. This is a bowed, broken spirit, not the mighty ape we were expecting to see. His wrists are mantled, attached to a long lengths of thick chain that lead to the beam of the big steel scaffold he sits on. Other manacles and chains secure his ankles and wrist. There is big gasp from the audience. Khan's sheer size is spectacular. Denim looks a little anxious at Khan's lethargy.
Don't be alarmed, ladies and gentlemen. Those chains are made of chrome steel.
Khan continues to sit. He picks at his toes. Denim steps back past Jack towards the wings, whispering to stagehands.
Get him on his feet.
Insert huge electrical wrenches. Start grinding backstage, winding in Khan's wrists chains onto big drums. Khan's arms are pulled up toward the steel beam. He is hauled to his feet, arms outstretched. To appreciative murmurs from the crowd, his head is slumped. Denim strides towards Khan, arms with a long pole with a sharp metal barb. He prods Khan in the stomach. Khan roars. The audience laugh and applaud. Jack looks uncomfortable. Denim jabs him in the side. Khan roars and rattles the chains. The audience cheer. Denim edges towards closer, touching Khan's leg.
I'm actually laying my hand on the 25-foot gorilla, ladies and gentlemen. I am touching the beast.
Take your filthy paws off him, you ignorant pig.
Denim looks alarmed as Anne strides down the aisle from the back of the theater. Khan recognizes Anne. He roars and pulls on the chains. Denim races over to the mic in an attempt to pass this off as a part of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Anne Darrow, the bravest girl I have ever known.
The confused audience starts to applaud.
Show's over, everybody. Go home.
The applause dies away.
What are you waiting for? You've seen the big monkey humiliated. Go on. Go home.
Nobody moves.
Get the hell out of here.
Now, Anne.
Some people stand and step into the aisles, but nobody actually leaves. All eyes are on Anne as she bounds up on stage.
You're hurting him. Let him down.
Jack steps forward.
And
Anne pushes Jack away. Oh.
Let him down.
Oh, Anne hurries over to Khan. He is very agitated. She gently strokes his leg.
It's okay. You're gonna be okay. I'm not gonna let them hurt you.
Denim whispers backstage.
Get the press. This is great.
Anne has his eye contact with Khan. He is calming down. Noisy mob of 50 journalists and photographers suddenly stream onto the stage.
Here's your angle, boys. Beauty tames the beast.
Smile, Ann. Have you got a pet name for the monkey? What is it? Come closer, Miss Bat. Look over here, Miss Darrow. Miss Darrow, look here.
Bugger off.
Denim grabs her arm without breaking his grin. He hisses in her ear.
Just a couple of photos, you ungrateful little bitch.
Dedham drags Anne away from Con. He roars. Flashbulbs pop. Anne starts crying. Con is getting anxious, flinching against the constant flashes, distorted journalist faces.
Smile, Ann. Smile, smile, Ann.
Come on, Anne, snap out of it.
Denham slaps her on the cheek. And Anne flinches. A defeating roar. Denham looks up, awestruck at Con, starts tearing free of the chains in slow motion. The audience screams in panic. The journalists scatter, sweeping Anne off the stage into the stalls.
The next page.
Yeah, it like ended in the Google Docs. Sorry. What page is it on?
81. I'll read
81.
until you get it back.
Okay, thank you.
With a mighty flourish, Kong rips off the waist restraints and is free. The audience are blocking the exits of their panic. The theater is packed. The stage is cleared, apart from Denham, who stands, memorized by Kong. He steps back, fearfully, falling on his bottom. Kong beats his chest, roars, steps into Denham. Denham's arms and legs spasm beneath Kong's foot as he's in the ground into oblivion. Kong leaps from the stage in the front row. He stomps and rips up seats with people still in them. Anne is still in danger of being crushed by the crowd. They're flooding towards a side exit door. She falls under the feet. Jack suddenly pulls her up and hugs her as the tide pushes them towards the door. Kong is below the balcony level. He uses the amazing strength to push the balcony up, sending dozens of people plummeting into the stalls. He throws a huge piece of balcony at the crowd, a panicking people. Kong sees Anne and Jack stream off the exit door of the street beyond. Exterior, Broadway, night. Jack pulls Anne, crying and protesting down the sidewalk. Behind him, the vast theater wall explodes onto the street, showering people and cars with brick and steel. Kong strides into the middle of the road. Cars drive in between Kong's leg. He smashes a fist onto their roofs. Others pile onto each other into shops, frontages. It's major panic time. Car screen window POV. Kong stomps in the car front, lifts a foot, and stomps over the camera. Exterior alley, night. Jack hurries in the alley, still towing Anne. She's angry and tearful.
Jesus Christ, how could you do this to me? How could you do this?
Come on, we gotta keep moving.
He's gonna die. They'll kill him.
Take a look out there. Have you seen what he's done? You're talking about a goddamn crazy animal.
You're the animals, all of you.
He pulls away from Jack.
I'm going to him.
Jack blocks her path.
I can't let you do that.
Jack socks Anne on the jaw.
Oh.
She collapses into his arms. External street, night.
I punched you? All right.
Jack runs with Anne slung over over his shoulder towards a cab in the middle of a busy street. Traffic is snarled up due to Khan's rampage a couple of blocks away, although there is no sign of Khan on this street. Internal cab, night. Jack slides Anne into the cab.
Get the hell out of here.
Listen, buddy, I can only go as fast as the guy in front. What is
Foxhorn.
this? Is the president in town?
There's a 25 foot tall gorilla on the loose.
Looking from the back seat as the cab driver turns to Jack.
And I'm Rodolph Valentino.
Khan strides into the street ahead. Close on the cab driver's face, as he sees Con. Without hesitation, he leaps out of the cab and flees into the night. Point of view from the back seat of cab as Con comes closer, overturning cars and smashing his fist on them. Panicked drivers pile into each other. Jack desperately tries his door, but they are wedged in by cars either side. Con lifts the car directly in front, high above his head, throwing it into a building. Jack clambers over the front seat as Con leans over his cab, lifting it up. Con's huge eyes glance into the window as he prepares to throw the cab. He sees Anne, external Turtle Street's cab night. Roaring with triumph, Con gently lowers the cab down. Close on, Jack's foot depresses accelerator. Wheels are spinning wildly at the moment. The cab touches down on the street. In a cloud of burning rubber, the cab rips free of Con's grip, speeding down the road, weaving in and out of the path cut by Con's destruction. Con bounds after the cab, running on fours with incredible speed. Jack crosses an intersection, driving up on the sidewalk to get a clear driving lane. Pedestrians scatter not only from the cab, but from Con, who is in hot pursuit. The cab slews across the street, disappearing up a tiny alley, only just wide enough for the cab, but too narrow for Con. Jack glances back at Con, roaring with frustration at the alleyway entrance. External journal, Herald SQ cab night. Jack speeds out of the alley and crosses the traffic flow, causing much braking and horn action. He gets slowed in thick traffic. Con leaps from a 7-story building onto the street right in front of Jack's cab. Jack swerves on the sidewalk, accelerating straight through a plate glass display with window into internal Macy's night. Macy's department store, and groggily wakes as Jack steers the cab wildly through aisles of clothing, scattering shoppers in all directions. Con clashes into the shop in pursuit. The 15-foot height is too low for him to stand, but he bounds along on his knuckles. Jack sends the cab into a couple of tight turns. As the speed Con is traveling, he slides onto the polished floors as each turn, wiping out an area the size of a tennis court before regaining his grip. Jack rounds on a bend and dives straight into a camping equipment display. Tents collapse, covering the cab before it. Slams into a wall. Jack and Anne are thrown forward on impact. Con slides around the corner and bounds past the covered cab. He desperately looks around for Jack and Anne, getting anxious and enraged. Con smashes his way out of Macy's into 35th Street and rises in the back seat. It's okay.
Hey.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, it's okay. We're safe. He's out. He's out of the streets. What are you doing?
Goodbye, Jack. Oh, sorry.
It's fine. Anne climbs out of the car and heads towards the street.
Goodbye, Jack.
Jack runs after her.
Are you nuts? Come on. I'm not going to let you get killed.
External 35th Street night. Anne walks into the middle of the road.
Won't harm me. Come.
Con is 50 yards away. He sees Anne, roars, and walks towards her on his knuckles. Jack runs up to Anne. Go!
Oh, wait, please, go. Please, Anne. I care about you, Anne. I love you.
Anne stares at him for a long moment. Con is looming up behind her.
Jack, you don't know what love is.
Con's hand gently lifts her up. Without breaking his stride, Con walks straight past Jack.
Anne.
It's all right, Jack. It's all right.
Jack watches Anne disappear into the night. Tears well up in his eyes for a moment. He angrily fights them off. Jack starts crying. They are the tears of a 17-year-old boy alone in the battlefield. Jack slides down the wall of the empty street, head in hands, sobbing loudly. External Midtown streets and rooftops night. Con is moving along a rooftop about 10 stories high. He is holding Anne close to his breast. He looks down at the streets, now largely desolated. All around him, the Manhattan skyline resembles some gaudy primeval landscape. Suddenly, bam, bam, bam! Heavy machine gun fire ricochets all around. Con roars and clutches his fingers as he bounds along the roofs in high speed. A searchlight suddenly swings onto Con from below. Army vehicles are reaching along the quiet streets. An armed car is firing at Con, followed by a truck carrying a mobile searchlight. The streets are teeming with these vehicles as the army speeds out town in the hunt for Con. As bullets whiz around him, Con leaps across the street, 10 stories high. He lands on the opposite rooftop and bounds away. Another searchlight finds him, and another. The army are closing in. Machine gun fire rips past him as he leaps another great distance across the street. Anne cleans on, her eyes tightly shut. Armed cars and mobile searchlights coverage on Con. He has run out of rooftop. Ahead of him, across the cavern of 34th Street, rises the sheer wall of the Empire State Building. Con leaps across the sham, crashing into the side of the Empire State Building. Glass rains down 12 stories to the street as Con uses windows for hand and foot holds. He is one-handed, his other hand still holding Anne protectively to his chest. 4 searchlights swing onto Con. A mobile anti-aircraft gun screeches to a halt on 34th Street. This is obviously the Army's killing weapon of choice. Within seconds, the large gun targets Con. Point of view looking up, crosshairs at Con. High on the side of the building, a total sitting duck.
Ready to fire, sir. How many points do you get for a big monkey?
The gunners laugh. The commander raises his binoculars to watch the spectacle. Commander, continue.
Stand by.
At that moment, Con roars definitely at the soldiers out over the street.
Hold your fire. He's carrying a woman.
The order is shouted down the street to the assembling soldiers.
Hold your fire.
Con carefully places Anne on his broad shoulder. She grabs hold of his fur. The military watch helplessly as Con starts climbing the Empire State Building. Cut to external 39th Street night. Jack is several blocks away, unaware of the situation at the Empire State Building. He wanders down the empty street. A few abandoned cars are dotted around, but all is quiet. His shoulders are slumped. His stride falters. He looks like a broken man. A vehicle approaches. Jack turns at a military police car, pulls up along him.
Christ's sakes, buddy, don't you understand? There's a goddamn gorilla. Get the fuck out of here.
Jack doesn't react. He keeps on walking.
Hey, you hear me? Yeah, I said, you hear me, mister?
A second military police vehicle pulls up.
Hey, Bill, you gotta hear this. The stupid ape climbing up the Empire State Building, carrying a goddamn woman on his shoulder. Naval planes are being dispatched from Wright Field at dawn. Guess the boys want a little target practice. Orders are to blow the son of a bitch away as soon as he puts the gun down, okay?
The second vehicle whirs away. Close up on Jack, still walking as the first military police vehicle cruises up alongside.
Yeah, you want a tip, buddy? Get down to Fifth Avenue. They blow that ugly shit off buildings. They're gonna blow that gorilla to bits all over the street, man. It'll take the sanitation department a week to clean it up.
MP laughs loudly as the vehicle whirs away, leaving Jack alone in the street. He is outside the cinema showcasing some new epic movie about World War I flying aces. An overly romanticized poster features a Jean Harlow type in an embrace with a pilot. The streets are wet. Lights glisten off the surface. Jack pauses, glancing at the reflection. Point of view, wet street. The underside of an airplane is reflected in the water. Jack slowly looks up. Two old airplanes have been strung high across the street to promote the movie. A Fokker airplane triplane and the Suro with camel. Close on Jack's reaction. Cut to the soap with camel lands with a bounce on the street. Jack has realized the support ropes. He hurries over the plane and quickly assembling its condition.
That thing can't fly, mister.
Jack is surprised to see a little African American kid about 8 years emerge from the shadows. He is clearly a homeless urchin.
They won't hang it on wires if it was still working.
Jack is peering into the cockpit.
I'm not so sure, kid.
Cut to external Empire State Building, Manhattan, pre-dawn. Wide shot, Khan climbing to the Empire State Building, silhouetted against the lightning sky. He is nearing the top, looking down and clings to Khan's shoulder. A dizzying 1,000-foot drop to the street below. Khan scales the final 130 feet of the Empire State Building, the airship mooring mast, and climbing onto the steel dome at the top. He gently places his hand down at the lip and stands on two legs. Wider, Khan beats his chest, roaring defiantly. Wider, Khan is a speck on the summit of the huge building, surrounded by the vista of Manhattan. His roar echoes over the city. External 39th Street dawn. Khan roars, reaches Jack. He pauses for a moment, then hurries to the plane, carrying a container of petrol he has just siphoned from a car.
They used to fly these in the war, mister.
Is that right?
Jack pours petrol into the plane's gas tank.
Are you gonna start it up?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's something I lost.
What's that?
Compassion.
What's compassion, mister?
Jack kneels down in front of the kid. He takes the kid's hand and presses it against his chest.
It's this. You know, when you grow up, bad things may happen. But you don't ever want to lose touch with your heart. Now go and give that propeller a turn, nice and slowly.
The kid runs around the propeller. Jack reacts to the sound of the distant plane engines. External Empire State Building, Manhattan, dawn. Looking at Manhattan from the harbor, the Empire State Building rises from the Midtown area like a giant soldiery finger reaching for the heavens. 6 naval BIP planes suddenly roar into shot, sweeping low over the downtown business district and closing in on Khan. These are two-seaters armed with twin machine guns from the pilot and a flexible machine gun from the observer. A cold wind blows Anne's hair as it stands on the lip of the dome, watching the planes approach. Khan is uneasy about these buzzing predators as they circle above him. Close on naval plane cockpit, the lead pilot talks to the others via an RT.
Here we go, boys. The naval planes peel off into an attacking dive at Kong.
Down gun sights, drifting left and right as Khan grows in size, locked on. Close and the pilot's finger on the trigger. Khan is suddenly fearful. He instinctively reaches for Anne, holding her protectively.
Pull out! Pull out! He has the girl!
Okay. The plane split to either side of Khan, zooming close by with a defining roar. External 39th Street, dawn, close on. The soap with camels, gnome, rotary engine spins, coughs, and dies. Jack is at the front of the plane, desperately spinning the propeller with both hands, trying to kick the plane into life. The kid is sitting in the cockpit.
All right, flip the switch again.
Jack spins the propeller. The engine coughs, blows out of the cloud of black smoke and roars into life. Jack lifts the kid out of the clambers into the cockpit. The engine noise is loud. Propeller wash blasts his hair and clothes.
Hey, mister, you dropped this.
The kid picks up Jack's envelope containing the $2,000 off the road. He offers it to Jack.
You want to be more careful.
Jack hesitates. He smiles at the kid.
It's your lucky day, kid. Stand back.
Okay. The kid steps. Oh, go ahead.
The kid steps back, clutching the envelope as Jack opens the throttle. The engine winds up and the Sopwith Camel starts moving down 39th Street. It builds up speed very quickly, racing past abandoned cars and buildings. The tail lifts off the ground. Suddenly, a military vehicle drives across an intersection directly in front of the plane. Jack pulls back on the stick and the Sopwith Camel lurches into the air. It skims over the vehicle, climbing into the air rapidly. Exterior, Empire State Building, Manhattan, dawn. Kong is getting angry at the buzzing planes around him. He puts Anne down on the dome, circling. No, pick me up, Kong. Kong roars at the planes as if issuing a challenge. The lead pilot waves to the other planes.
Okay, this time, here we go.
The naval plane.
Oh, yeah, let Angel do it? Yeah.
The naval planes peel away for the attack. They dive towards Kong, leaning him up in their sights. Kong roars at them and is screaming.
No!
At that moment, Jack's Sopwith camel zooms right past Kong and Anne, flying straight at the naval planes. Jack is visible in the cockpit, hair blowing in the wind.
Jack!
The naval planes are forced to scatter in all directions as the tiny Sopwith camel meets them head-on. Jax turns tightly and flies at the regrouping naval planes, sending them into disarray.
Ignore the cowboy so far. The ape. Go for the ape.
The 6 naval planes fly at Kong from different directions. Machine guns start firing. Jack throws his planes around like a madman, trying to deflect their aim. Kong roars and snatches at the naval planes as they zoom by. He flinches as he is hit by blue bullets. Anne screams. Jack dives at naval plane, causing it to turn sharply straight into Kong's grip. Kong grabs the naval plane, ripping its wings off. He hurls it down toward the streets. Jack nearly hits the lead pilot, who desperately veers away.
Let's take this guy out.
The naval planes open fire on Jack. He dodges around the sky, avoiding streams of tracer fire, nearly hitting the top of the Chrysler's building. Jack's leg runs out. The Sopwith camel shudders as bullet smashes into its engine. Black smoke streams out as Jack quickly loses control. Jack knows it's all over. He grimly steers his crippling plane straight at the naval plane attacking Kong. With a crunch, Jack's wheels clip the naval plane's wing, sending it spinning out of control. The naval plane smashes into the side of the Empire State Building. Jack's Sopwith camel flips on its back. Crump! Kong grabs Jack's plane. He waves it above his head. Jack falls out of the cockpit. He slides down Kong's outstretched arm, rolls off his shoulder, and just manages to grab the fur on Kong's back, preventing a 1,000-foot fall to the streets. Jack dangles and swings as Kong continues to sweat at the attacking planes. Machine gun fire strikes Kong in the back just below Jack's feet. Kong slumps, giving Jack the chance to roll off his back. Jack lands on the dome, sliding towards the edge. Anne reaches out, grabbing his hand. She pulls Jack to safety. At that moment, Kong picks Anne up. Jack can only watch as Kong tenderly holds her. The great ape is weakened by bullet hits and clearly in pain. Yet he looks mesmerized at Anne as her long blonde hair blows in the wind. The naval plane are regrouping in the distance. The 4 remaining planes turn towards Kong and form a straight line.
We are ignoring the girl. I repeat, ignore the girl. She's going down with the ape. Here we go.
The naval planes start a attack run. Jack can see what's coming.
And they're going to shoot. And
Kong looks down at Jack. He very gently lowers Anne and returns her to Jack. Jack holds Anne tenderly as she starts sobbing. Kong looks fearfully at the approaching planes. He is breathing in gasps, very distressed.
Please.
Kong looks at Anne. He gently touches her hair. She clutches his fingers, hugging them, trying to comfort him. Tears stream down her face. All sound fades away, except for a gentle breeze.
Lullaby and good night. Go to bed and sleep tight.
The fear leaves Kong. He looks at Anne with tenderness and love. She fights back the urge to burst into tears.
Close your eyes, start to yawn. Pleasant dreams until dawn.
Close on Kong. He suddenly wheezes sound crashes back in, with the deafening roar of the planes flying past. For one last precious second, Anne hugs Kong's hand. He's slowly topples back, disappearing off the side of the building. Anne sobs with grief. Jack gently takes her in his arms. She buries her face in his chest. Exterior 5th Avenue, morning. Crowds are gathering to stare at Kong's body. We only see his hand on the edge of frame. A policeman ushers people away. Come on, folks, it's all over. The airplane's got him. Pushing to an old lady standing in the crowd. She shakes her head sadly.
It wasn't the airplanes. It was Beauty killed the beast.
The old lady turns and slowly walks away from the camera. Fade to black. The end.
Yay! We did it. We did it.
Yeah, we did.
A 93-page script took that long. Well, it's okay.
Oh my God, I look like my mother.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we can't have that.
Good job. For those who have to go, yeah, I didn't think it would go this late because it was a shorter script than usual. But what do
A
I?
lot
It's
of
Kong. Yeah.
A lot of so much narration.
Yeah, I forgot how much narration there was. Anyway, I forget it's Peter Jackson. He likes big. Anyway, so if you have to go, you can go. But for those who want to promote, please, if you have anything to promote, if not, I don't know, anybody. I'll say thank you everybody for doing this. Like I said, I guess because the stage direction it was a little longer, but it was still fun. And I hope everybody here had fun. I hope everybody who watched enjoyed. It was great to see all different interpretations. That being said, I'm probably going to do a 5-hour montage online at the end of the month. So be on the lookout for that. And then me and Carolyn will eventually do Wake Prov. And then if you're in Atlanta next week, me and Carolyn are going to be there. So I don't know, maybe I'll see you at Tuesday or Wednesday at one of the shows. So yeah, that's all I got. Anybody else?
Bye.
All right. Well, next time, our next unproduced script will be Lord of the Rings trilogy and one night.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Thank you all. I appreciate you all. This was an incredibly fun time. And it was Beauty that killed